Chapter 232. Mr. Stephen, I'm just here to confirm it. But since it's you, there's naturally no problem. Hearing Fang Gishing's 180-degree change in attitude, the director's eyelids twitched uncontrollably. Even if he eats instant noodles during meetings, it can't stop his professionalism. Dr. Fang, don't you think so? The director asked with a smile in his native language. Fang Gishing's expression was terrible and he could not say a word. His mind was in a mess. He never thought that the person Bei Yunj found would be Mr. Stephen. Weren't Qin Yojiao and Mrs. Qin playing with him? Stephen's ability could be said to be the ceiling of this professional field. In the end, this mother and daughter pair still dared to come to him for treatment. Did they want to see him embarrass himself on purpose? At the door of the ward, Bei Yunj saw Mrs. Qin and Qin Yojiao sitting together, looking like a warm mother and daughter pair. But very quickly, her eyes glanced over lazily and she walked towards the ward with a basket of fruits. Bei Yunj. Mrs. Qin stared at her with a cold expression. Mrs. Qin, I'm not in the mood to listen to you. Bei Yunj turned around carelessly and glanced at her with a faint smile. Then, before Mrs. Qin could say anything, Bei Yunj pushed the door open and entered. You dash. Mrs. Qin was stunned and gritted her teeth even more. Mom, Dr. Fang is back. Qin Yojiao pulled Mrs. Qin and reminded her softly. Hearing this, Mrs. Qin immediately changed her attitude and looked at Fang Gishing gently. Dr. Fang, have you talked to the director? I'm sorry to trouble you to have to settle such a small matter. After this operation is fine. Who knew? Fang Gishing interrupted her and sneered. Mrs. Qin, you really think highly of me. These words made Mrs. Qin unable to react. Why did she feel that Fang Gishing's attitude towards them seemed to have become colder? What do you mean, Dr. Fang? Miss Pei has already found an attending doctor. Why do you have to worry so much? With that said, Fang Gishing suppressed the urge to scold Mrs. Qin on the spot and knocked on the door of the ward before entering. Only Mrs. Qin and Qin Yojiao were left standing at the door with ugly expressions. In the ward. Miss Pei? Fang Gishing took a deep breath and respectfully said, Listen to Yen. Bei Yunj glanced at Fang Gishing and asked casually, Who are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Fang Gishing. Fang Gishing didn't mind Bei Yunj's lukewarm attitude at all, but old Master Qin, who was next to him, had a strange expression on his face. Last time, he had also heard Mother Qin's call to Fang Gishing. This person was extremely arrogant and had a bad attitude. But now, Fang Gishing's tone when he spoke to Bei Yunj seemed to be carefully trying to please her. This wasn't an illusion, right? Why are you looking for me? Bei Yunj was not interested in Fang Gishing and did not even bat an eyelid. This is my name card. If you need anything in the future, you can contact me. Fang Gishing put his business card in front of Bei Yunj and added, I can also come to Yunqing without charging you extra. Bei Yunj raised an eyebrow and glanced at him. Okay, thank you for your hard work, Dr. Fang. Seeing that Bei Yunj did not hold a grudge against him, Fang Gishing heaved a sigh of relief and said with a smile, Miss Pei, you must be joking. It's my honor. Chapter 233. Even after Fang Gishing left, old Master Qin was still staring at Bei Yunj in a daze. He felt that this granddaughter of his was a little unfamiliar. In the past, Gu was introverted and did not have many friends. However, the current girl had a strong youthful aura and always gave off a high-spirited feeling. If it wasn't for this face, he would have suspected that the person in front of him was Gu. Qin Yojiao, who was outside the door, stopped Fang Gishing, wanting to know what had happened. However, Fang Gishing only left with a cold expression and did not say anything to her. Did Bei Yunj say something to Dr. Fang? Mrs. Qin clenched her fists and the first person she thought of was Bei Yunj. Mom, don't be anxious about this. Since she wants the doctor she knows to operate on Grandpa so much, let's wait and see. A dark look flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes and she clenched her fists tightly. Jiao Jiao, I've wronged you. Mrs. Qin took Qin Yojiao's hand. Initially, Jiao Jiao had already found a doctor. She didn't know why Bei Yunj was so stubborn and insisted on finding another doctor herself. Mom, I don't care about this. I believe Yunj is doing this for Grandpa's own good. Qin Yojiao lowered her head and forced a smile. It's just that a few days ago, I submitted some documents to second brother's office and was eliminated in the first round. Second brother seems to have really changed. With Qin Yojiao's appearance and popularity, it was impossible for her to be eliminated in the first round. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Qin's temper flared. All of them are really rebelling. If it wasn't for old Master Qin inside, she wanted to question Bei Yunj now. What kind of magic potion did she give Qin Yu and Qin Lang? These two people were willing to sever ties with their family to protect her. Jiao Jiao, don't worry. They will still find out how good you are in the end. Mrs. Qin caressed her head lovingly. Qin Yojiao hugged Mrs. Qin. Mom, I only have you now. Silly child. At noon, Bei Yunj returned to school and canceled her morning break. When she walked in from the classroom, she heard several girls discussing some emotional topics. Bei Yunj could only hear the boys' Adam's apple. Inexplicably, Bei Yunj suddenly thought of the situation last time. When class was about to start, Lu Yuanxi came back with a basketball. Deskmate, Bei Yunj suddenly said. Lu Yuanxi's eyes were somewhat guarded. What's wrong? If a guy's Adam's apple is touched, will he be very angry? It was also the first time Bei Yunj saw Hu Shidu's gaze. Hearing this, Lu Yuanxi slowly relaxed, then sat on the chair and chuckled. How could I? What's there to be angry about? Lu Yuanxi asked. Then why? Was he angry? Before Bei Yunj could finish her question, she felt Lu Yuanxi's gaze on her. You touched someone else's Adam's apple? Lu Yuanxi asked. Bei Yunj just looked at him without saying anything. Seeing this, Lu Yuanxi denied himself and laughed. No, why did you touch someone else's Adam's apple for no reason? Bei Yunj was silent for a moment before she asked, Will it be very serious? Lu Yuanxi looked at her strangely and snorted lazily. Not really. It's just that it's easy for something to happen. What happened? Seeing that Bei Yunj was very concerned about this question, Lu Yuanxi thought for a moment and changed his wording. You will want to have a new life with the person who touches your Adam's apple. Chapter 234. Bei Yunj froze. Lu Yuanxi warned, Don't do anything rash. Men are bad in this aspect. Most men might not reject such a thing even if they didn't like it. Suddenly, Bei Yunj seemed to understand why Hu Shidu's voice was a little hoarse at that time. Lu Yuanxi said, Deskmate, your homework. Bei Yunj pushed the homework to him and turned around to calm himself down. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. As expected of his deskmate, he was very cold. After school, Bei Yunj went to the institute first. Just as Bei Yunj was teaching his two interns, a middle-aged man in a suit barged in. Is Miss Pei here? Bei Yunj raised his eyebrows and saw that his eyes were calm. After glancing at the two interns, he walked straight to the camera. I'm Delaney. Miss Pei should have some impression of me, right? The contract we discussed last time. At this moment, the door was pushed open again and Marcus's voice sounded. Delaney. He had finally stabilized Bei Yunj, but Delaney was looking for trouble at this time. Delaney, I'm warning you, don't anger me. Marcus also walked in front of Delaney, his face livid. Seeing this, Delaney was a little surprised. He had heard that Marcus treated the new member as a treasure, but he did not expect it to be to this extent. It looks like Bei Yunj is really important to our nation's computing institute. Delaney smiled and his gaze landed on the screen where Bei Yunj's face could not be seen. Miss Pei, can't you show your true face and talk? As soon as he finished speaking, Titch and Jasmine, who had been following Bei Yunj in class, held their breaths. They also wanted to know what their teacher looked like. There's nothing wrong with that. Bei Yunj's tone was lazy. Then, the camera panned and everyone saw Bei Yunj's eyes clearly. The girl had black hair and red lips. Her gaze was cold and her eyes were flirtatious with a faint smile. However, when she raised her eyebrows, she had a rebellious youthful vibe. She was unbelievably young and beautiful. Teacher, the two interns beside him were shocked. Their teacher was actually so young? He was too good-looking. If you want to sign the right to use it, Look for Marcus to draw up a contract. Bei Yunj said indifferently. Are you Miss Pei? Delaney found it hard to believe that someone who could create such a project would be so young. He had seen many young geniuses, but he had never seen someone like Bei Yunj, who was aiming for the Busaka Prize at such a young age. Is there anything else? Bei Yunj looked up. When these words fell into the ears of the two interns, they automatically thought of Bei Yunj's daily sentence. Do you have any more questions? This kind of precise control, impatient and threatening tones simply reminded them of the nightmares they had in class. Miss Pei, this should be your first time signing a contract, right? With such a price, very few people are willing to cooperate, Delaney said. Bei Yunj chuckled. After all, there aren't that many smart people. Delaney was speechless. He seemed to have been mocked. Miss Pei, if I don't do this project, who would dare to do it? Marcus and the two interns beside him felt their scalps go numb when they heard that Delaney dared to threaten Bei Yunj directly. Delaney, is there a lack of people in your circle who gamble with their lives? Bei Yunj teased. At the same time, Delaney subconsciously raised his head and froze. Phew. Chapter 235. Delaney clenched his fists and stared at Bei Yunj's face. Was this really a young lady in her 20s? Why was she more intelligent than those old researchers? It's up to you whether you want this contract or not. I've also said that after the project is completed, any company that wants the right to use it will have to pay double the fee. Bei Yunj was neither cold nor warm. Delaney was speechless. Forget about doing research. She would be a rare talent if she went back to the company with him. I'll sign it. Delaney gritted his teeth and only said these two words. As for the others, they quickly turned to look at the livid Delaney. He was going to sign it so soon? Didn't he still think that it was too expensive and that a dignified Zhou was acting shamelessly? Yes, close the door. I have to go to class. Bei Yunj nodded without any psychological burden. Delaney, who wanted to curse, was speechless. In the end, Delaney still left weakly. Marcus, who was at the side, could not bear it and patted his shoulder to comfort him. There will be many opportunities to work together in the future. Delaney, who was stabbed in the back, almost had a distorted expression. Titch said carefully, Teacher? What's wrong? Bei Yunj flipped through the information and frowned. Why did he take so long to explain such a small amount of content? That Delaney just now is my father. Titch braced himself and admitted. Bei Yunj paused and looked up at him. You want to go home with him? Titch shook his head frantically. No. Teacher, I wanted to come to the research institute myself. I was afraid that you would feel pressured. Titch's voice became softer and softer. What if the teacher thought that he was here to be a spy? Bei Yunj did not even raise his head. Pressure? Write fewer strange reports and hand them to me. I'll feel less pressure. Titch was speechless. Jasmine was speechless. Sorry it was their fault. All right, let's continue with class. She glanced at them with a deep gaze. Bei Yunj felt that he was still too young and had not suffered the hardships of society. He actually agreed to Marcus's request to teach an intern and Marcus's little niece. That night, Bei Yunj came back late and did not see the man. Normally, Bei Yunj would have asked Auntie Meow first. But now, when Bei Yunj thought about touching his Adam's apple, she did not know how to face Washidu. Bei Yunj, what a bad move. She calmly took a deep breath and went upstairs. In front of the desk, Bei Yunj casually combed her black hair with a pen. Only a small strand of hair was left in front of her ears. How would I know that there was such a thing? Bei Yunj couldn't help muttering to herself as her slender fingers twirled the pen. But in the end she still touched him an hour later. Bei Yunj went downstairs to get some water. She didn't expect to see the man standing sideways at the long table pouring water. Brother! It was Bei Yunj's first time seeing Hwashidu wearing a black cotton shirt. It was very textured. The shirt was neatly tucked into his suit pants. His shoulders were wide and his waist was narrow. His long legs were too abstinent. However, at this moment, the man's eyes were deep. His posture was lazy and sexy. The two buttons on his collar were loose, revealing his exquisite collarbone. His entire person was lustful and frivolous. It was simply a criminal temptation. Chapter 236. Why was his hair wet? Bae Yunj saw that Hwashidu didn't say anything and looked at him again. The man's gaze was different too. The light in his eyes was completely hidden. It was ambiguous and dark, as if he was blatantly seducing her. Bae Yunj's gaze seemed to have been burned. She quickly looked away and asked, "Why is your hair wet? Did you drink?" He still smelled of alcohol. Bae Yunj frowned unconsciously and suddenly remembered something. The last time at the Chin family's old residence, Hwashidu seemed to have smelled of alcohol too, and he looked a little strange. Could it be that he couldn't drink? "Don't tell me you fought with someone?" Bae Yunj's beautiful eyes moved. Before she could finish speaking, the man suddenly leaned closer. He leaned over and looked straight at her. He said casually, "It's little Yun." Bae Yunj's heart suddenly beat faster when she was suddenly stared at like that. Forget it. Bae Yunj didn't intend to ask further. She pulled the man's sleeve and wanted to bring him upstairs. Who knew? The man suddenly grabbed her wrist with one hand and leaned lazily on the long table. He reached out to her head again. "You?" Before Bae Yunj could finish speaking, Hwashidu suddenly took off the fountain pen that was coiled around Bae Yunj's hair. At that moment, Bae Yunj's black hair scattered, but her sparkling eyes were staring at him. The man seemed to be in a good mood. His eyes darkened even more, and his magnetic and pleasant laughter sounded in a low voice. "Call me brother and I'll return it to you." Bae Yunj looked at his wet hair and said gently, "Are you going to take a shower later?" Suddenly, Bae Yunj was gently knocked on the head. "You only want to take advantage of me all day long?" The handsome and noble man's posture was light and lazy. His voice was long, as if he wanted to seduce her. Bae Yunj was speechless. Hence, Bae Yunj's good temper in her life was almost used up today. In the bedroom, after Bae Yunj blew Hwashidu's hair, she could tell that Hwashidu's voice was a little hoarse and magnetic. It seemed that he had caught a cold. He didn't know what was going on today. Bae Yunj recalled the scene just now and her eyelids twitched. "Brother, why do you like to bully people after drinking?" The man didn't answer. It also attracted Bae Yunj's attention. "Brother, I'll get you some hot water to take a bath. Don't go out." Bae Yunj softened her tone again. "You've caught a cold. You have to get better soon, right?" The man's eyes fell on her without an inch of avoidance. Seeing her bright eyes looking at him, his eyes unconsciously darkened. "Yes." Hwashidu's voice was low and magnetic. Seeing this, before Bae Yunj could breathe a sigh of relief, she suddenly heard a voice coming from downstairs. It was very light, but it gradually became clear. "Shidu? Shidu?" Old Madam Hwa must have gone upstairs. When Bae Yunj heard this, she was about to walk out of the door when she suddenly remembered that this was Hwashidu's bedroom. Bae Yunj was speechless. At this time, if she went out, Old Madam Hwa might get engaged to her brother at the end of the year. Thinking of Old Madam Hwa's urgent mood, Bae Yunj felt that she could not let Old Madam Hwa see her in the bedroom. However, she did not know what would happen if she left Hwashidu alone here. Bae Yunj turned her head and looked at Hwashidu for a long time. She only thought of one idea. After the old madam went upstairs. Chapter 237. Alas, let's go find sister. Mo pulled Alas and discussed in a childish voice. Alas tilted his head as if he didn't understand anything and just circled around his little master. "Grandma, I'm going to find sister." Mo held Alas's hand and said happily, "Go, go." Old Madam Hwa frowned. After turning on the lights, she only saw the hairdryer on the table. She muttered to herself, "Why isn't he here? He should have just come back." Old Madam Hwa muttered in the bedroom and walked around. At this moment, Bae Yunj was huddled in the corner of the closet. Her entire body was a little stiff, but she couldn't move for fear of being discovered. The more she thought about it, the more she couldn't understand what the person who hid in the closet was thinking. Wasn't he sullen? Until Bae Yunj's ear suddenly felt an itchy heat. The man's low and magnetic voice was lazy and sexy. It made her ears burn. "Yun, sit on brother's lap." Bei Yunja's entire body froze, and her heart beat uncontrollably fast. Brother, you... Before Bei Yunj could finish speaking, the man suddenly pulled her over. Her whole body was trapped in his arms, sitting on his lap. The pleasant cold fragrance around her was mixed with the smell of alcohol. The quiet and secluded space was filled with a sense of taboo. Before she could break free, she heard a low laughter in her ear again. It was ostentatious and ambiguous, making one's heart tremble. Yun, do you want brother to recover faster from his cold? This time, all of Bei Yunja's calmness and self-control were shattered. This man today was simply asking for her life. Not long after, Mo returned. Grandma, sister isn't here either, Mo pursed his lips and said. It wasn't easy for him to come and see his sister. Alright baby, maybe your brother took sister Pei out to play. Old Madame Hua coaxed. Let's go back first, okay? But I want to wait for sister. Mo hesitated. Suddenly, a lass broke free from Mo's hand and ran towards the closet. He held a floral ribbon in his mouth and pulled it out happily. It was as if he had discovered something incredible. Inside the closet, Bei Yunja's eyelids twitched. She could only take a deep breath and take off her coat. She was completely unaware that in this narrow and dim environment, the man's eyes fell on her without hiding anything, and his eyes gradually darkened. Mo, what is the lass talking about? Old Madame Hua was puzzled. I'll go take a look. Mo quickly ran over and found that a lass was pulling a floral ribbon. It looked a little like the belt on Sister Pei's clothes. Mo, what is Eris doing? After old Madame Hua asked, she was about to walk over again. Grandma, it's nothing. Momo blinked and glanced at the wardrobe. Finally, she secretly pulled the tape from Alyssa's mouth. Eris, we should go home. There's roast chicken tonight. After Mo finished speaking, Alice gave up on the idea of the belt. It happily rubbed its little master's cheek. Seeing that old Madame Hua had finally left, Bei Yunj also breathed a sigh of relief. She liked Mo more and more. Fortunately, there was Mo otherwise. If she was discovered, she was really afraid that old Madame Hua would contact her old master on the spot. However, when Bei Yunj thought of this man's actions just now, her eyelids could not help but twitch. You did it on purpose. Bei Yunj stared at Huashidu and said expressionlessly. The man leaned lazily against the wooden board. Huh. Chapter 238. Bei Yunj was speechless. Seeing this, the man's low and hoarse laughter was hopelessly sexy. Yun, what's wrong? Bei Yunja's eyebrows moved. She wanted to stand up, but she tripped over something in the dark and fell back into the man's arms. Bei Yunj seemed to have accidentally poked the man's firm abdomen. She heard him grunt softly, making her blush and her heart race. Brother, Before Bei Yunj could finish explaining, she met the man's eyes. The man leaned against the wooden board. His gaze was frivolous and his eyes were dark. His entire aura was lustful and deadly. However, at this moment, Bei Yunj started to notice the man's Adam's apple through the dark light. But in the next moment, Bei Yunj quickly looked away. Seeing this, the man's lips curled up imperceptibly. Before Bei Yunj could react, he suddenly leaned closer. He lowered his voice and laughed cynically. Where did you touch me just now, little greedy cat? At this moment, Bei Yunj was really about to explode. The next day, Huashidu woke up very early. However, when he was reading the newspaper downstairs and waiting for Bei Yunj to come downstairs to eat, he saw the little girl glance at him and sit down at the table. Thank you, Aunt Meow. After Bei Yunj thanked Aunt Meow, who brought the dishes over, she continued eating. Huashidu did not know how he had offended this child. During the meal, Huashidu scooped the porridge slowly, but his gaze was fixed on Bei Yunj. Yun, I'm full. Brother, eat slowly. Bei Yunj suddenly stood up and smiled at him. With that said, Bei Yunj took her backpack and left. The man tapped his fingertips on the table and thought for a moment. Aunt Meow, what's wrong with Yun? Aunt Meow, Sir, I'm sorry, I'm not too sure about this either. My child had a high fever last night, so I cooked dinner and went home. Huashidu narrowed his eyes. Yes, it's fine. Maybe she's not in a good mood. Sir, you can coax her more. Miss Pei is quite cute. I like her very much too. Auntie Meow smiled. Yes, she's cute. He laughed casually. When a little girl is angry, she's like a cat with its fur standing on end. However, he had a feeling that there was something that made the little girl so unhappy. On this day, the sensation that spread from abroad to within the country shocked everyone. Even the top 3 on the headlines were slaughtered. Hashtag Delaney Group's new technology hashtag country our computing institute. Delaney Group hashtag don't say knowledge can't change fate hashtag in the past. News from the scientific research community rarely made it to the top of the list. But this time, it really shocked everyone. As the most high-end technology group abroad, the Delaney Group had actually signed more than $1 billion worth of technology rights. If converted to their country's currency, it would be 10 billion. Furthermore, the usage period was only 5 years. Even the Delaney Group, which was famous for being stingy, had been ruthlessly squeezed dry. This made the netizens excited. No way, 10 billion? Back then, those who said that they were doing scientific research and didn't earn much came over and counted. How many zeros are there? What a ruthless move. Haha, I heard that she's the new ace member of Country R's Computing Institute. And she's a young lady from our country. Chapter 239. Our country? This is too glorious. To be honest, the only person our country can really produce is Zhong Shenglin. She shouldn't be young anymore. It's a little weird to call her a little sister. I want to argue. Then why didn't she stay in the country? Is the air overseas sweeter? Question, I'm convinced. There's even a contrarian here? Did he lose his mind from chasing celebrities? Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Are you treating the big boss as a popular celebrity? Take care of your street, understand? At the Computing Institute. Old master, look at this news. Is it talking about our master pay? After interacting with Bei Yunj, Si Qingyan's relationship was quite good. He did not care that Bei Yunj was a few years younger than him. What the hell? Zhong Shenglin put on his glasses and scanned the news. His old face darkened and he started to gnash his teeth. That B** starred really got off easy. *CK. It's really master pay? Si Qingyan was shocked. Zhong Shenglin slapped the back of Si Qingyan's head. New member. In the past 2 years, other than her, has Country R's Computing Institute recruited anyone else? He was heartbroken again. Look at you again. You're also a new member, but you joined our institute a year or 2 earlier. What did you do? She entered the institute for a month and gave Country R's Computing Institute a 10 billion yuan project. She made the headlines and was in the limelight. What about you? Si Qingyan was speechless. Not everyone would be able to get 10 billion in their lifetime, okay? Zhong Shenglin's gaze became even more determined. No, I have to poach her as soon as possible. This was really a mistake of 100 million yuan per second. Not only Zhong Shenglin, even Steven, who was hiding in his office and eating instant noodles, was speechless. Was Marcus's luck exploding? Why was their institute so lucky this year? Cheng Zihuai, who had also seen this explosive news, had a dark gaze. Zihuai, what are you thinking about? Qin Youjiao smiled. She had just finished styling herself when she saw the news on Cheng Zihuai's phone screen. Qin Youjiao raised an eyebrow and teased deliberately, I wonder how old a female researcher with such achievements is. But I believe that you will be able to do the same in the future. Hearing this, Cheng Zihuai did not agree. He was indeed talented, but that was only when compared to ordinary people. The ace member of the Computing Institute of Country R was one of the rarest of geniuses. There was no way she could be compared to her. Zihuai, what's wrong? Why are you so unhappy? Qin Yushao asked with a coy smile. Cheng Zihuai snapped back to his senses and shook his head. You know this person too. I know. Qin Youjiao froze. Cheng Zihuai clenched his fists and pursed his lips. It's the teacher I wanted to follow before. This is her project. These words surprised Qin Yojiao as well. She had never thought that the teacher Cheng Zihuai wanted to follow would have such ability. It was no wonder that Cheng Zihuai had been depressed for so long when he did not get this connection back then. However, after seeing this news, Cheng Zihuai was probably not in a good mood now. After all, if he had become this person's student back then, the Cheng family would have risen because of this person. She's too arrogant. Chapter 240. Qin Yojiao said with a frown. Ranwo Pavilion. Hearing this, no matter how unbalanced Cheng Zihuai felt, he knew very well that if that person wanted students, there would indeed be a large number of outstanding students willing to follow her. She's indeed amazing. Cheng Zihuai's eyes darkened, but he was thinking about something else. Marcus had told him that this person was also in Yunqing. So, if he found this person, there might be a chance for her to accept him. Zihuai, I believe you'll be like her in the future, Qin Yojiao said with a smile. Hearing this, Cheng Zihuai caressed her head and said with a smile, Aren't you going to do a live stream? Go do the live stream first. I've already informed a few uncles I know in advance. If there are any resources, I'll push them to you first. Zihuai, you're so good to me, Qin Yojiao said coquettishly. Until Friday. The headlines started to be related to the Qin family again. The reason was that Qin Yojiao had accidentally revealed during the live stream that Bei Yunj had chased away Fang Gishing and found another famous doctor to operate on old Master Qin. The moment this news came out, many netizens started to scold Bei Yunj for being unfilial. No matter how much she fought with Qin Yojiao, there was no need to take the old master's life lightly. Then, the marketing account of Qin Yojiao's contract company even exposed all sorts of things. They said that Bei Yunj did this for the family assets. Because old Master Qin liked Bei Yunj, most of the Qin family's assets were left to Bei Yunj. With this news, more people were filled with righteous indignation. Old Master Qin likes her so much. Is she crazy? My heart aches for old Master Qin. If this is true, the Qin family has really attracted an ingrate. Qin Yojiao was scolded so badly a while ago. She's cleared her name now? Isn't it too fast? Indeed, this elder young miss wants to debut. The moment a certain someone debuted, she wanted to trample on another young lady no matter what. I don't know what illness she has. Jealousy? Confused. The two people above, let's earn money together. Back then, Qin Yojiao was the one who apologized and was even scolded. I think the real scheming person is that young lady who has never appeared before, right? Relying on Director Lin to clear her name, I feel bad that Director Lin still has to use her reputation to clean up the mess for some people in her later years. Not long after, more insiders began to reveal the truth. Director Lin's character is impeccable. However, if some people did not want to learn well, it would be useless even if the Daluo Immortal personally taught them. She's the daughter of Director Lin, but she's actually at the bottom of the level. Qin Yojiao is already second in the level. Gradually, the public's impression of Bei Yunj began to decline. In the office. Jiao, the company has already arranged for someone to follow Bei Yunj. When the time comes, we will be able to get a picture of who she invited for the surgery. But, are you sure that she won't hire any experts? The manager asked with a smile. Qin Yojiao drank the black tea and smiled at her. Are you sure that there's someone in the country who's better than Fang Gishing in this aspect? Although she did not know why Fang Gishing had left in anger, this might be because Bei Yunj had played some tricks. That's good. As long as you trample on her, your image as a young lady will be stable. Hearing this, the smile on Qin Yojiao's face froze. The word, image, had hit her where it hurt. Her eyes darkened as she pursed her lips. The young lady of the Qin family did not need Bei Yunj's existence. She would make this person disappear. Same as the Almighty. Chapter 241. Hover. Calligraphy Pavilion. More good. What made Qin Yojiao even more uneasy was that she seemed to be the only one in the entire industry who knew that Yu Manran was actually the eldest young lady of the Yu family. At that time, if Yu Manran's identity was exposed, it would probably affect her quite a bit. Sister, do you know Yu Manran? Qin Yojiao asked calmly. Yes. I don't know where she found a composer this year. She became popular with just one song and her popularity is higher than the A-list now. Even they had their sights set on the composer. However, they could not get any information at all. It was said that it was someone Yu Manran knew. Sister, can you find that composer? Qin Yojiao said with a smile. She can bid as much as she wants. I want her to write a song for me. In the evening, when Stephen found out about this, he was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. I'm a pheasant expert? Did you hear that? Did you hear what old Zhong said? F***CK, I'm going to sue those keyboard warriors. Stephen's face flushed red. He had never suffered such grievances in his life. Inspector, calm down. Our institute hasn't earned 1 billion yuan, where would we get so much money to sue? The assistant immediately said gently. Stephen was speechless. If this brat hadn't been with him for so many years, he really wanted to fire him. Miss Pei said that Dr. Fong went to post an explanation. Don't be anxious. When they know who did the surgery, they won't dare to be so impudent. That's true. At this thought, Stephen's mood improved. He laughed coldly. A bunch of ignorant brats. I want to see if they still dare to talk nonsense when they know who they are scolding. Seeing Stephen's noble and cold expression, the assistant's eyelids twitched. Yes, you're right. What happened this time was beyond his expectations. Fang Gishing, who had just gotten off work and was about to have a candlelit dinner with his wife, was shocked. Then his face darkened. Who was the one who complained that his life was too comfortable? Did they have to drag him out and be mocked by the entire internet? However, not long after. The internet was still in a heated discussion. Following this, Fang Gisheng's clarification video became the focus of everyone's attention as soon as it was released. It was crazily viewed and forwarded. Fang Gisheng, who was shooting the video, was wearing ordinary clothes. He didn't look too good, but he said a few words politely. He had confirmed that the attending doctor hired by Bei Yunj was indeed more experienced than he was. He hoped that everyone could relax and stop attacking others. However, as the number of views of this video increased, there were actually people who started the momentum. Dr. Fong doesn't look too well. A certain heiress is 666. How could she threaten an innocent doctor? Just look at it. He's very reluctant to shoot a video. Is there anyone else who will wash Bei Yunj's clothes? Dr. Fong, blink when you're being threatened. We support you. Stephen sat in front of the computer and translated the comments one by one. His expression gradually turned ugly. These people really wanted to satisfy their own fantasies. Everything was said according to what they thought. There's no need to be angry, Stephen. They hate me, not you. Bei Yunj smiled lazily. That won't do. What right do they have to criticize you? Stephen was so angry that his face darkened. He might as well. He found the official social media account of Country A that the Our Nation Medical Institute had registered a few years ago. Guru Tong. Chapter 242. Stephen sneered. I'd like to see what else they can make up. After that, Stephen hung up the phone after exchanging a few more words with Bei Yunj. Calligraphy Pavilion more good. She couldn't wait for those stupid humans to open their eyes wide and take a good look at who the pheasant expert they were talking about was. Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched when she was hung up on. She sent a message to her assistant to remind Stephen to board the plane. Not long after. She thought for a moment, opened the social media app, and scrolled through the headlines. She clicked on it and saw that the first post was a video about Dr. Fong. However, just as everyone was scolding Dr. Fong, someone suddenly noticed that a big shot had liked the video. They clicked on the profile picture and found that it was a verified official account. Country R's Medical Research Institute. Everyone? What was going on? Why would Country R's Medical Research Institute like Dr. Fong when they had nothing to do with him? Then, just as they were feeling uneasy, they saw that the official account that had not been updated for a few years suddenly reposted Dr. Fong's clarification post. What was going on? Could it be that the expert Bae Yunj hired was from Country R's Medical Research Institute? Many people couldn't help but gasp when they saw this. However, they were also puzzled. How did Bae Yunj know someone from Country R's Medical Research Institute? Could it be that it was also because of Director Lin? Director Lin's social circle was too wide, wasn't it? Because Country R's Medical Research Institute had publicly reposted the video, Qin Yojiao's team, who was manipulating public opinion, didn't know what to do for a moment. They could only wait and see. At this time, the netizens were also confused. Checked. Director Steven of Country R's Medical Research Institute is an expert in this field. He's a world-famous expert. Oh my god, Bae Yunj is too amazing, isn't she? What does this have to do with Bae Yunj? Even if it is, it's Director Lin's credit. Don't joke around. Do you believe it? Everyone in the circle knows that Steven's surgery volume is limited in a year. Even if Bae Yunj is booked, it won't be this year. Steven even performed surgery for her family. The Qin family is nothing in the world. Do you understand? The person above is harsh, but it's the truth. Steven's number of surgeries is limited. This year's patients were confirmed in March. Bae Yunj skimmed through these comments and returned to the Computing Institute. Master Pei, quick, come and take a look at my project. See if there's anything that can be improved. The moment he saw Bae Yunj, Si Qingyan enthusiastically pulled Bae Yunj to his research lab. Brat, stop right there. Zhong Shenglin suddenly appeared and immediately separated the two of them. Take care of your own projects. Don't take shortcuts. With that said, Zhong Shenglin looked at Bae Yunj gently. Yunj, I heard that the contract you signed with Marcus is for 3 months? When Si Qingyan heard this topic, he knew what the old master was up to again. He had not managed to poach her after so long. He even complained that he was hindering him from poaching her. After Si Qingyan left, Bae Yunj smirked. I was in urgent need of money back then, so I signed for 3 months. What about now? Zhong Shenglin asked urgently. Elder Zhong, you can see that Marcus is very good to me, said Lin Feng. Bae Yunj's eyes curved. So, at least for now, I can't think about this. Same as the Almighty. Chapter 243. Bae Yunj's meaning was clear. She was indebted to Marcus for recognizing her worth. Even if she had not promised Marcus that she would stay in their institute in the future, at least she could not decide to come to the Computing Institute at this time. Hearing this, Zhong Shenglin's heart ached even more. What kind of luck did Marcus have? He really met someone like Bae Yunj, who was sentimental about old ties. Yunj, I understand what you mean. But if you choose the Domestic Computing Institute, I sincerely hope that you can choose our Computing Institute first. Zhong Shenglin smiled. Although I might not be able to offer the generous conditions that Marcus offered, it's a private computing institute. If you're willing, I hope you can be my successor. With that said, Bae Yunj's eyelashes fluttered and she looked up at him again. Usually, even if it was a private research institute, it seemed that more people would want their children to inherit it. Just like in her previous life, as a well-known physicist in the industry, Mrs. Pei had also nurtured Bae Yunj in that area, hoping that Bae Yunj would inherit her physics institute. In the end, Bae Yunj secretly opened a computing institute herself. Because of this, Mrs. Pei was so angry that she did not speak to Bae Yunj for a month. Thank you, Elder Zhong. Bae Yunj said with a smile. You don't have to be too stressed. My grandson is indeed studying computing, but his aptitude is average and he can't control the Computing Institute. What I hope more is that the Computing Institute can be passed down and walk towards glory. Zhong Shenglin looked at the long term and focused more on the computing industry in Country A. As for his grandson, he had also left behind a lot of family assets, enough for them to live in peace for the rest of their lives. Saturday. Bae Yunj went to the airport and received her quietly. About 10:30 p.m. A tall middle-aged man with blonde hair and blue eyes came out. Bae Yunj recognized Steven at a glance from the photos online. At the same time, although Steven had just gotten off the plane, he was still refreshed. He said excitedly and happily, Tisk, let's walk faster. Maybe Yunj is waiting. The assistant was speechless. She's not your granddaughter. Why are you so happy to see her? Suddenly, Stephen and Selena saw a beautiful young girl walking towards them. Bei Yunj took off her mask, revealing her delicate and beautiful face. She smiled and said, "Stephen, we finally meet." Stephen froze when he heard this familiar voice. This was Yunj. Stephen could not come back to his senses for a long time. He had heard Marcus brag that their Yunj was especially beautiful and did not believe it for a moment. But now, this standard Oriental beauty's face was really hard to find fault with. Especially the bright and beautiful expression between her eyebrows, it was unforgettable. Yunj, I really didn't expect you to look like this. After a while, Stephen couldn't help but laugh. Let's go. I'll be a good host and take the two of you to dinner. Bei Yunj chuckled. Sure. This Yun City is really not bad. Stephen laughed loudly. However, in the corner, a sneaky young man secretly took a picture of Bei Yunj and Stephen walking together. However, what he did not expect was that Bei Yunj did not bring her to the hospital. Instead, they went to a scenic spot to play. He thought for a moment and called Qin Yojiao's manager to tell her about this. You don't have to let me see it. Just post it online. Just say that Bei Yunj hired a quack overseas and is eating, drinking, and having fun with others. She doesn't take old Master Qin's illness to heart. Chapter 244. What if he's not a quack? The young man could not help but hesitate. Then we have to post it even more. The manager chuckled. If that person cures old Master Qin, what's the point of posting it? On the other hand, if we do this, more people will think that Bei Yunj is gambling. I got it. The young man nodded and stopped following Bei Yunj and the rest. Inspector, Miss Pei, someone followed us and took photos secretly just now. With that said, Stephen, who was eating soup dumplings, almost choked. Why didn't you say so earlier? At this moment, Bei Yunj said slowly, I saw it. It's all right, I'll delete it later. When she said this, those who didn't know would almost think that Bei Yunj was planning to delete her post. Only Stephen vaguely remembered how Bei Yunj made the headlines back then. There's no need for that. Stephen patted his chest, his expression confident. Don't worry, leave this to me. Stephen pulled Bei Yunj and his assistant along and took a photo as a souvenir. Soon, he posted it on his social media app and Marcus's phone. Marcus sent messages crazily. You went for a meal with Yunj? Are you there? Let me show you Yunj's Computing Institute identity card. Smile. How childish. Do you think I can be angry? Boring. Ha, I've blocked you. Goodbye, brother. After reading this long string of messages, the corners of Stephen's lips twitched. Wasn't this childish enough? He wasn't angry? In the afternoon. In the ward. Dad, I've said it before. This isn't a child who grew up in our family after all. We don't know her background. You're still... Before Mrs. Qin could finish speaking, she was interrupted by old Master Qin. If you continue to spout nonsense, I'll get Qin Ting to send you back to your parents' home. These words made Mrs. Qin open her mouth with an ugly expression, but she didn't know what to say. Are you still worthy of being a mother? You're so righteous even when you talk bad about your daughter. Shameless. Once old Master Qin was angered, he felt dizzy. The nurse beside him quickly comforted old Master Qin, telling him not to get angry. Mrs. Qin pursed her lips and said, but the news on the internet was also taken by someone else. It can't be that someone deliberately tried to harm her. Who took it? I'll get my lawyer to sue him right now. Upon hearing old Master Qin's words, Mother Qin's face turned green and red. She was speechless. She couldn't hope for Grandpa Sheng to come to his senses. Hey, this person looks familiar, the nurse suddenly said. Mrs. Qin's eyes lit up. You know him? Who is it? Old Master Qin glanced at Mrs. Qin. Disgust flashed across his eyes, and he closed his eyes impatiently. Let me think. The nurse racked her brains and felt that this person looked very familiar. A few minutes later, Mrs. Qin became a little anxious. She suddenly exclaimed, I remember now. This is Stephen. What's Stephen? Mrs. Chin suddenly had a bad premonition. The director of Country R's Medical Institute, Stephen. The nurse looked at old Master Chin enviously. Mr. Stephen rarely takes on surgeries. This year, his surgeries are full. Miss Pei must have put in a lot of effort for you. She's so good to you. She's a filial girl. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Chin's face turned pale and her eyes lost focus. How could this be? How could Bei Yunj invite such a person? Chapter 245. Could it be Director Lin? But how could Director Lin have such a wide network? Look, this is someone who can even step on her own daughter. Old Master Chin laughed coldly. Mrs. Chin wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, she could only bite her lip with a red face and remain silent. At this moment, a group of netizens who did not know the situation were about to tear into each other. A certain young lady is really interesting to go out and play with an old man at this time. I really feel bad for Director Lin. Even if you blow up your account this time, I still want to scold you. You just can't compare to Qin Yojiao. Don't you know that? Why are you scolding Bei Yunj? A group of people are confused and think that they are righteous. Don't you know how to write the word cyberbullying? This kind of B*TC should have such extravagance. If you have the ability, blow up my account. The matter was full of twists and turns, and it was getting more and more confusing. However, under the guidance of Qin Yojiao's marketing team, it still went in the direction they wanted. However, it wasn't long before another shocking scene appeared. A few minutes later, Qin Yu, who had been filming overnight for 2 days, immediately reposted that post when he saw it. Qin Yu? Smile. As for Qin Lang, who was training and had his phone confiscated, there was no movement. However, to everyone's surprise, Qin Lang's studio reposted Qin Yu's comment immediately after. Crush Qin Lang's studio? Smile. In less than a minute, the comments exploded. Ah, they're here. They're here. They're here with the anger of a sister complex. It's about to start. Is Brother Lang's studio trying to make me laugh to death? Shao sure, I'll protect Brother Lang's sister. Reporting, second sister-in-law's fans have gathered. Reporting, will gather again after third sister-in-law's fans finish eating. Sob sob sob, doghead, I'm speechless. So what if you have a best actor brother and an esports player brother? Are you relying on your fans to clear your name? I'm scared. You have a lot of fans and you're awesome, okay? Entertainers are ruining the country. Entertainers are ruining the country. Qin Yu and Qin Lang had many fans, but more importantly, this matter made people have a bad impression of Bei Yunj. As a result, some of Qin Yu and Qin Lang's fans were still persuading them to delete this post. After all, it was really too much. But who knew? At this moment, a certain group that was usually rarely active suddenly reposted Qin Yu's post as if they had agreed. Research Institute, Zhongxing Lin? Smile. Dean of Biology of Yunqing University? Smile. The former principal of Yunqing University? Smile. Professor Yu Guang? Smile. Yunqing University Medical Dean? Smile. Our nation's Medical Research Institute? Smile. This scene made one's scalp tingle. Everyone? Did he break through the dimension? What was going on? Was half of the scientific research community mobilized? So, everyone saw that Country R's Medical Research Institute had reposted someone's post. Our nation's Medical Research Institute. Heart. Our nation's Medical Research Institute. Stephen, my friend and me, picture. At this moment, everyone was shocked. So, the old man who was rumored to be having fun with Bei Yunj was Stephen, the director of Our Nation's Medical Institute. F***CK. What a deity. DBQ Mr. Stephen, I actually didn't recognize you. Is Bei Yunj a big boss harvester? Chapter 246. Lin Lanjun is her grandmother, and Stephen is her friend. The moment something happened to her, half of the scientific research field and 2 cis-obsessed brothers protected her. I'm so jealous, I'm jealous. Goodbye. I'm starting to understand why Dr. Fong's expression isn't too good. This isn't an expert, but an ancestor. The one who offended him is the ancestor. The biological daughter of the big shots? The little darling of the brothers? Please, Master Pei, write an autobiography of the group's love. The moment Qin Yojiao debuted, Bei Yunj was scolded and became a trending topic, isn't that so? You're trying your best to push Bei Yunj away, but she's really loved by the group. On the internet, the people who had followed the trend to slander Bei Yunj seemed to have disappeared without a trace. On the contrary, only the haters who had started to slander Qin Yojiao were left. In the office, Qin Yojiao's expression was terrible and she wanted to smash her phone. She never thought that this matter would take such an unrealistic turn that was even more unrealistic than a dream. Jiao, this is quite unexpected. But don't worry, the company's public relations are already handling it. Don't worry. The manager was also anxious, but Qin Yojiao had just signed with their company, so it was not good for her to act like she was flustered. Thank you, sister. Qin Yojiao's expression improved slightly. At least, she still had a company behind her now, so she would not be too outnumbered. At the Hua Corporation. Seng Su, apart from telling you about the parent-teacher conference last time, what else did Yunyun say? Hoshidu thought of how the little girl was throwing a tantrum and asked casually. I think so. With that said, Seng Su saw that his Master Du seemed to be thinking about something. Master Du, did you have a fight with Miss Pei? Hoshidu glanced at him and did not say anything. This situation made it difficult for Seng Su to understand. However, Seng Su suddenly remembered what had happened in the past 2 days. Master Du, have you seen the recent headlines? What's wrong? Hoshidu looked up and asked. Is that? Miss Pei was maliciously slandered. However, the 2 young masters of the Qin family and some seniors in the scientific research field are very protective of Miss Pei. Currently, this matter has been resolved. Seng Su couldn't help but exclaim when he thought of the melon he had eaten. Especially the phrase, Big Boss Harvester, it was simply very popular. Aside from the big shots they knew, if anyone else found out that this little princess was living in the home of the president of the Hua Corporation, they would probably have a mental breakdown. Malicious? Hoshidu's pale-colored eyes gradually turned cold and deep. There was an unfathomable danger in them. It's the tricks of the entertainment industry. The other Miss Qin of the Qin family has signed with an entertainment company. I'm guessing that the entertainment company is personally involved. After Seng Su finished speaking, he added carefully, Master Du, do you need me to show my face? This would also prevent those people from thinking that Miss Pei had no one backing her. There's no need. Hoshidu narrowed his eyes nonchalantly. His deep voice was emotionless. You caused trouble for my child. How can there be a second chance? Hearing this, Seng Su immediately understood. Master Du didn't intend to let that company continue to operate. Seng Su, okay. When he returned, Hoshidu saw the young lady quickly greeting him and going upstairs. He didn't even look up when he was eating. The next day, Bei Yunj had just gone downstairs when she saw Yu Hanran and Hoshidu sitting together. Before she could leave, she heard the man say, Yunun. Chapter 247. At this moment, Yu Hanran also noticed Bei Yunj. He had a teasing look in his eyes, wanting to see how this couple interacted every day. From Hoshidu's casual question, the 2 of them seemed to be quarreling. What's wrong? Bei Yunj turned around and looked at him with curved eyes. Come here. Hearing this, Bei Yunj glanced at him and then glanced at Yu Hanran, who was waiting for a good show. She walked towards Hoshidu. When Hoshidu saw this, the corners of his lips curled up slightly. He stood up and narrowed his eyes casually. He held her wrist with one hand and took off the rubber band. It's too hot outside. With that said, Hoshidu stood in front of the girl and reached out. His slender and well-defined fingers gently lifted her curly hair and slowly tied it up for the girl. This scene made the smile on Yu Hanran's face freeze. Wait a minute. Shouldn't they be quarreling? Why did he let him see such a scene? After tying her ponytail, Bei Yunj glanced at Huashidu. Actually, she had long lost her temper. I'm going to the hospital. I'll be back later. Bei Yunj touched her hair. Okay. Huashidu curled his lips and reached out to rub her jawline. Yu Hanran was speechless. Hey, guys, am I invisible? In the morning, Stephen was undergoing surgery. Almost 4 hours later, the door to the operating theater opened. The surgery was very successful. Old Master will be fine after resting well. The other doctor smiled and could not help but say to Bei Yunj, it's all thanks to Miss Pei that I have the chance to share the stage with Mr. Stephen. You must be joking. Bei Yunj smiled. However, in the eyes of the Qin couple, this scene caused them to have complicated feelings. They had always felt that Bei Yunj was a loner and had no friends. They did not expect her to be friends with Stephen. They did not know how they got to know each other. It's been hard on you this time. Mr. Qin stepped forward and said gently. Bei Yunj's tone was indifferent. It's my duty. The smile on Mr. Qin's face froze. Of course, he knew that Bei Yunj was so attentive because of Old Master Li. Otherwise, if it were him or Mother Qin, Bei Yunj probably wouldn't even look at them. Mr. Qin's eyes darkened. You and Jiao, Yunj, isn't it time to go eat? Stephen's voice sounded. Bei Yunj turned around and saw that Stephen was still in good spirits. She smiled and said, well, I have a friend later. Do you mind? What's there to mind? Stephen said and went to change his clothes. The two of them chatted in a familiar tone, as if they were old friends. However, the age difference was a little too big. Mr. Qin, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. Mr. Qin reacted and quickly nodded. Be careful, Next. Even after Bei Yunj left, Mr. Qin's expression was still gloomy. Mrs. Qin stepped forward and said angrily, didn't I ask you to tell her to put in a good word for Jiao? Hearing this, Mr. Qin felt annoyed for no reason. Gur is the one who suffers every time. Why must she listen to me? With that said, Mrs. Qin was stunned for a moment. She could not imagine that these words would come from his mouth. Qin Ting, what do you mean? Bei Yunj is your daughter, but Jiao isn't? Mrs. Qin suddenly became agitated. She's my daughter to begin with. Mr. Qin reprimanded angrily. Chapter 248. Mrs. Qin's eyes widened as she stared at Mr. Qin in disbelief. All right, you don't want Jiao anymore? Mr. Qin was furious. Look at what Jiao has become. She didn't do it on purpose the first time, but what about the second and third time? Every time something happens to Go, it's related to her. How can I believe her? With that said, suddenly, the sound of something falling to the ground sounded not far away. Mr. and Mrs. Qin turned around and saw Qin Yojiao looking at Mr. Qin in disbelief and grievance with red eyes. At this moment, Mr. Qin panicked inexplicably. After all, this was the child he had doted on for almost 20 years. Jiao. Qin Yojiao turned around and ran away with red eyes. It's all your fault. How can Bei Yunj compare to Jiao? Why are all of you slowly standing on her side? Mrs. Qin's heart ached. Looking at the thermos box that had fallen to the ground, she immediately went forward to pick it up. Jiao is a filial child. If she hears what you said, she will definitely be very sad. Mrs. Qin panicked as well. For a moment, Mr. Qin felt complicated and guilty. He could only turn his face away and pinch the space between his eyebrows tiredly. How could he not want to have a happy family? However, it just so happened that he had carried the wrong child back then. Now, facing his two daughters, he did not know what to do. At noon, Chu Zhixing stood at the entrance of the hospital and waited, feeling inexplicably nervous. Until Bei Yunj's voice sounded. So, Chu Zhixing turned around and saw Bei Yunj walking over alone. Yunj, how's Grandpa Qin? The surgery was very successful. However, Bei Yunj was a little surprised that Chu Zhixing's first concern was her grandfather. She thought that this fellow should be more concerned about Country R's medical institute. That's good. Chu Zhixing heaved a sigh of relief and nodded. All right, who is the person you said you like from Country R's medical institute? Bei Yunj asked again. Hearing this, Chu Zhixing became even more nervous. Mr. Stephen. Bei Yunj was speechless. At this moment, Chu Zhixing suddenly remembered what had happened on the internet yesterday. His eyelids twitched and he took a deep breath calmly. Yunj, you said last time that you would help me talk about the application form. Don't tell me you're planning to look for Mr. Stephen? Yes, I only know him. Bei Yunj nodded without hiding anything. Seeing the complicated and regretful expression on Chu Zhixing's face, Bei Yunj couldn't help but smile. She glanced at her watch and then glanced at the elevator. Coincidentally, she saw Marcus change his clothes and come down. Suddenly, Chu Zhixing, who was in the midst of grief, heard an inexplicably familiar voice. Yunj, can we go to the supermarket later? Your country's instant noodles are really delicious. Stephen said happily. Chu Zhixing raised his head abruptly and saw the person he used to admire the most. This didn't seem to match the character he had in mind. Wasn't Mr. Stephen dressed in a suit and leather shoes every time he attended a meeting? Wasn't he cold and elegant? Although he wasn't very good at country R's language, he understood the phrase, buy instant noodles. Okay, I'll send you a few boxes when the time comes. Bei Yunj didn't care much and suddenly said, oh right, this is my friend, Chu Zhixing. Mr. Stephen. Bei Yunj looked at Chu Zhixing and said concisely. After Chu Zhixing felt his idol's gaze, his body stiffened and he became nervous. Chapter 249. Hello, student Chu Zhixing. Stephen smiled, not putting on any airs on stage at all. However, for some reason, it made people want to get closer to him. Hello, Stephen was actually not a difficult person to get along with. However, Chu Zhixing's foreign language skills were not very good, so it was a little difficult for the two of them to communicate. However, after dinner, Stephen realized that the boy Bei Yunj brought was very talented in medicine. This made Stephen suddenly feel that Chu Zhixing was an unexpected surprise for him to come to Yuncheng. You signed up for our summer camp? Stephen could not help but laugh. Why don't you consider studying in country R? When the time comes, you can come into contact with our research institute earlier. Hearing this, Chu Zhixing almost dropped his chopsticks. Really, can I really do that? One had to know that the interns recruited by Country R's medical institute were all postgraduate students. Last time, the medicine Yunj asked me to make should be for you, right? Stephen chuckled. Since you're Yunj's friend, there aren't so many rules. Hearing this, Chu Zhixing was stunned for a moment before he realized that his medicine was made by Stephen instantly. Chu Zhixing looked at the girl beside him, who was eating with her head buried in her food. His heart seemed to have been brushed by water. On this day, Qin Yu, who had just applied for leave from the director and was about to go to Bei Yunj's parent-teacher conference, suddenly received a call. You, have you been home recently? The man's low and calm voice was very pleasant to the ears. However, Qin Yu was inexplicably vigilant. He laughed. I'll be back in a few days. Brother, what happened? Nothing. I prepared some gifts for everyone. The handsome man in the suite hid the coldness in the depths of his dark eyes. It was only when he thought of something that a hint of gentleness appeared. By the way, how's Gu? Hearing Qin Luyan ask about Bei Yunj the moment he came up, Qin Yu was alarmed. In the past, when eldest brother went abroad, he had never cared about Gu. Even Qin Yojiao was the same. She's pretty good. Qin Yu thought for a moment and repeated what had happened at home. When Qin Luyan heard that Qin Yojiao had been sent to stay with Mr. and Mrs. Qin by Qin Lang, his emotions did not fluctuate much. However, when he heard Qin Yu say that Bei Yunj had also gone out to stay, his eyes immediately darkened. She went out to stay? Where did a little girl like her go to live? Hearing his brother's voice darken, Qin Yu didn't dare to tell him that Guo was staying at his friend's house. Don't worry, it's someone I know. Some time ago, old master also saw him. There's no problem. Qin Yu leaned against the chair and chuckled. When Qin Luyan heard that, he remained silent for a while before saying unhurriedly, then it's not appropriate for our Qin family's young lady to live outside. I'll deal with this matter when I get back. Just focus on filming. After that, Qin Luyan hung up the phone. However, Qin Yu inexplicably felt that something was wrong. Big brother, this ice block, when would he start to care for Ger more? Didn't he not even ask about his parents? Qin Yu did not know what Qin Luyan meant by calling either. However, he knew that there would indeed be trouble with Qin Luyan's return. Qin Yojiao knew that he and Qin Lang would ignore her and would definitely think of ways to make eldest brother stand on her side. If that was the case, it would be troublesome. Chapter 250. Then wouldn't Qin Yojiao have found a backer? Qin Yu pursed his lips, feeling that this matter might become troublesome. At the same time, Mrs. Qin also held Qin Yojiao's hand happily. Jiao Jiao, your older brother is coming back. You've suffered during this period of time. When eldest brother comes back, he will definitely help you. Eldest brother is coming back? Qin Yojiao's eyes lit up and she looked up at Mrs. Qin. She had finally waited for eldest brother to return. One had to know that the true person in charge of the Qin family was still eldest brother. Second brother and third brother had no interest in business. For so many years, eldest brother had been the one managing the Qin group alone. Yes, if you have any grievances, tell eldest brother. Mrs. Qin could not help but laugh. Your eldest brother looks cold to everyone. But Jiao Jiao, you know very well that eldest brother will grant your every request. A strange glint flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes and she tugged at Mrs. Qin and said coquettishly, so, I like eldest brother the most. After what she did to Bei Yunj this time, Mr. Qin had already started to suspect her. Fortunately, when Mr. Qin saw her run out crying, he had already dispelled his suspicions and even felt guilty. In the evening, the moment Bei Yunj returned, she saw the man sitting on the sofa. Brother. Bei Yunj called out and was about to go upstairs to take a shower. Who knew? The man put out the cigarette casually and suddenly looked up, saying slowly, Yun Yun, older brother has something to discuss with you. However, Bei Yunj looked at the handsome and dignified man in front of her and remembered how this man had looked when he was bursting with desire last time. What's wrong? Bei Yunj still walked towards him, deliberately not looking into his eyes. Why were you angry last time? Huashidu's gaze landed on Bei Yunj unwaveringly. His tone was casual as he dragged out his words. Did older brother bully you? These words were clearly very normal. However, when he said this, it inexplicably became ambiguous and made her face turn red. Bei Yunj thought of what this man had said to her in the closet and smiled. Just, older brother, you're very good at bullying people. At this moment, Huashidu didn't think about anything else. After all, he had drunk too much in the past and did not have the habit of touching girls. Then let me apologize to you. Yunin, don't take it to heart, okay? Huashidu's thin red lips curled up and he bent down to look at her at eye level. His tone was natural and intimate as he coaxed her. This man had always been very good to her and even took special care of her feelings. But for some reason, Bei Yunj was not very happy when she saw that this man could not remember anything at all. Were you drunk last time? What happened? Bei Yunj asked. That night when she was drying Huashidu's hair, she felt that his body was cold. Those who didn't know better would think that he had taken a cold shower. The corners of Huashidu's lips curled up slightly. His posture was lazy and frivolous. He reached out carelessly and gently rubbed her cheek. Yes, big brother accidentally drank a little. Are you in a bad mood? Bei Yunj glanced at him and an indescribable feeling rose in her heart. In her heart, this man was what others called a flower on top of a mountain. He would get whatever he wanted. How could he not be happy? That's not the reason, but I'm indeed not too happy. Huashidu's low and magnetic laughter flowed out as his throat moved. The next moment, he scratched the girl's chin again. But next time, older brother will come back earlier. Chapter 251. The man's pale-colored and abstinent eyes turned gentle. His seductive low voice could easily tickle one's eardrums. Brother will be happy when he looks at Yun Yun. Wasn't this man apologizing just now? Hoshidu's eyes darkened when he saw the little girl's bright black eyes staring at him with an inexplicable emotion. Then he let out a long laugh. His deep and magnetic voice seemed to be deliberately seductive. Yun, don't look at me like that. Brother can't handle it. Bei Yunj, the next time this man drank, she would definitely record it. She would let him see clearly who was the one who couldn't handle it. Seeing that Bei Yunj's expression was awkward again, Hoshidu said, "Then I'll promise Yun one thing." "How about that?" "I don't want to go to school anymore." Bei Yunj said this almost without thinking. Who would have thought? Hoshidu looked at her for a while and only laughed. His posture was seductive and ostentatious. "Sure, then Yun will come over early and manage the company for brother." Bei Yunj, ? Was this what a qualified domineering CEO would say? Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes twitched. "What about you? Brother, just serve our Yun." The man casually played with the silver lighter on his phone. His low and magnetic laughter was light and lazy. His gaze was straight and lustful. It made one's heart beat wildly. Bei Yunj, he was no longer treating her as a younger sister. It was more like he was raising her as a daughter. "Be obedient. Come down and do your homework later. Brother will teach you," he said. Bei Yunj was about to scold him in her heart when she suddenly felt the man's half-smiling gaze. "Brother, weren't you apologizing to me just now?" Bei Yunj asked. Why did it become him supervising her homework in the end? "Yes, I forgot to ask Yun, how did I bully you?" Hoshidu remembered that when he drank too much in the past, he would at most go to bed early. For a moment, Bei Yunj was a little silent. When Hoshidu saw this, he suddenly sensed the little girl's abnormality. Hoshidu's throat bobbed. "Yun, brother took away my pen the moment he saw me." Bei Yunj glanced at him. "Because of this?" The man licked his thin red lips. His low and hoarse laughter was sexy and pleasing to the ear. He was a little surprised that he would do something like this in his unconscious state. He was also surprised that Bei Yunj had argued with him for so long because of this. Looking at the man's calm expression, Bei Yunj suddenly laughed. Her clear eyes looked harmless. "I asked my brother if he could lift up his shirt and show it to me. My brother said that he would only show it to me when we entered the room." Hoshidu felt that these words did not sound like something he would say, but the young lady had indeed been awkward for 2 days. The man looked at Bei Yunj and thought, "Brother, don't tell me you've forgotten everything you've done." Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows and said with a smile. Suddenly, Hoshidu laughed again. His dark and unreadable gaze landed on her. "Then does Yun still want to see it?" Bei Yunj's smile froze. ? "It's okay. Although Yun's preferences are special, it's quite embarrassing." Hoshidu casually threw the silver lighter on the sofa, not caring much. "Brother?" Bei Yunj suddenly had a bad feeling. Before Bei Yunj could speak, the man had already taken off his tie. His lazy and playful voice was frivolous and straightforward. Chapter 252. There's no need to explain. I'll try my best to satisfy Yun. She had never seen the man's figure, but the last time in the wardrobe, it felt firm and hard. However, when the man was wearing a shirt, it did not show and only made people feel that he was refined and dignified. "Brother." Bei Yunj grabbed the man's cold hand and looked up. "Should I do my homework?" I think so." The man's pale-colored eyes could not hide the smile in them. "I'll go take a shower first and go downstairs to do my homework." With that said, Bei Yunj immediately went upstairs. Seeing this, the man chuckled. His upturned eyes were charming and his posture was light and lazy. The little girl was so easily angered. How could she let him lift his shirt? Ever since she knew that Qin Luyan was coming back, Qin Yojiao seemed to have become bolder. In the live stream, when Qin Yojiao was chatting with a small celebrity she had just met, she inadvertently led the small celebrity to talk about Bei Yunj. It caused a lot of discussion. However, at the same time, the entire internet was very interested in Bei Yunj, who had never appeared before. After being talked about for so long, she was either scared or too lazy to care. No one thought that Bei Yunj would be the former. However, everyone felt that if Bei Yunj appeared in the public eye, the scene would definitely be exciting and fresh. Before the crowd could calm down, they saw someone coming down personally to tear Qin Yojiao apart. "You man ran. Your father Pei is a brick. He will move wherever he is needed." Heartbroken with this post, many netizens discussed fervently. "Ha ha ha. Sister man, what's wrong with you? Do you know Bei Yunj? Sister man, are you still the big boss of the industry I know? Work harder, you're number one." Doghead? No wonder artistes can never be seen in public. They like to suck up to rich people? Let me take a look. Which sour chicken is this again? Can't you stand properly on the streets? You're being blind again. Everyone in the industry understood this kind of hype. Qin Yu naturally knew that once he replied, he would be trying to gain popularity for Qin Yojiao. If he didn't reply, she would think that he had acquiesced to Qin Yojiao's relationship. Therefore, at the end of the month, Qin Yu had sent lawyers' letters to nearly 30 netizens, including the small celebrity who had Bei Yunj in the livestream. This move shocked everyone. After all, when Qin Yu had just entered the industry, there had been a huge commotion, but she had never seen him send a lawyer's letter in a stack, as expected of Qin Yu, the crazy sister control maniac. Seeing these dozens of lawyers' letters and Yu Man ran publicly attacking her, Qin Yojiao was so angry that her face turned green. However, what surprised Qin Yojiao even more was that she received a call from her manager. "Jiao Jiao, there's a problem with our company. We're having a hard time with cash flow, and we're being held back by someone. We might not be able to last for more than 2 months." Hearing this, Qin Yojiao's face paled. What? Qin Yojiao clenched her fists tightly. If this news got out, she would definitely be the first to be laughed at. When she signed with her second brother's studio back then, she had been eliminated in the first round. Now that she had finally signed with a good company, such a thing actually happened? Why did this happen? Qin Yojiao took a deep breath. Her manager was also very busy. "I think I offended someone. Jiao Jiao, do you know the whole corporation?" In an instant, Qin Yojiao's face paled. Her mind was in a mess and she couldn't hear what her manager was saying at all. "Jiao Jiao? Are you listening to me?" Chapter 253. Others did not know why the company had offended the whole corporation. But Qin Yojiao knew it clearly. It was all because of that man. Qin Yojiao's eyes widened as she gritted her teeth, feeling extremely indignant. How could this be? That man was already willing to do this for Bei Yunj. Time passed and it was Friday for the parent-teacher conference. Most of the students in Class 1 and Class 2 were refreshed. On the other hand, the usually arrogant and domineering Class 7 was strangely quiet. "Deskmate, who's attending your parent-teacher conference this time?" Lu Yuanxi and Bei Yunj went outside to get some water. "My brother." Bei Yunj narrowed her eyes. She had only mentioned this to Huashidu casually once and did not know if he remembered. Back then, she had only wanted to suppress her grades and had forgotten that she might be scolded at the parent-teacher conference. "I see." Lu Yuanxi did not ask further. The moment he thought of Qin Yu's guard against him, his scalp turned numb. The older brothers of the Qin family were each more impressive than the other. At this moment, Mr. and Mrs. Qin had arrived a long time ago and many parents of students came forward to greet them. After all, this was the Qin family in Yuncheng. I'm going to attend the parent-teacher conference for Ge. You can attend it for Jiao Jiao." Hearing this, Mrs. Qin's expression changed immediately. "Did you agree to attend the parent-teacher conference today to attend it for her?" Mr. Qin, whose thoughts had been exposed, looked embarrassed. "But Qin Yu has work and I don't know when Qin Lang will come. Then what did you promise Jiao Jiao?" Mrs. Qin refused to let it go. "Have you forgotten how Jiao Jiao cried in front of you last time? What will Jiao Jiao think if you attend her parent-teacher conference this time?" With that said, Mr. Qin's expression did not look too good. Right now, Bei Yunj, who was wandering around the school, was still thinking about whether she should get Si Qingyan to help. So, coincidentally, Bei Yunj happened to be walking towards Mr. and Mrs. Qin. Mr. Qin was stunned for a moment. Bei Yunj glanced at them and prepared to leave as if she did not see them. Gah! Mr. Chin subconsciously shouted. Mrs. Chin, who was beside him, pulled him back and could not help but ask, "Are you crazy?" Chin, I didn't know when it started, but every time Chin Jiai's father was alone, his mind would wander off and he would mention Bei Yunj. What's the matter? Bei Yunj glanced sideways at him. Did anyone attend the parent-teacher conference for you? Thank you, Mr. Chin. Someone will come. Bei Yunj smiled. Her bright eyes were lazy and beautiful. There was no deliberate estrangement, nor was there any friendliness. It was as if they were strangers who could greet each other when they met. This feeling was like a blunt knife cutting into Father Chin's heart. It was a bloody pain. Oh, I see, Mr. Chin stiffened and nodded. All right. If Er needs anything, you can look for me. Thank you, Mr. Chin. Bei Yunj smirked and her eyes happened to glance at Chin Yojiao, who was walking over, before she turned around and left. After Bei Yunj left, Chin Yojiao went forward and held Mrs. Chin and Mr. Chin's arms. Dad, Mom, what are you doing? Chin Yojiao pretended not to see Bei Yunj and was in high spirits. It's nothing. I met someone I know just now and chatted for a while. Mrs. Chin smiled and accompanied Chin Yojiao to class. Many people saw the scene of this family of three and couldn't help but discuss it. Mrs. Chin and Mr. Chin only attend the parent-teacher conference for Chin Yojiao? Chapter 254. Someone could not help asking, then Bei Yunj's parent-teacher conference will also be held by Brother Chin? Right? After all, the one he brought back from outside can't compare to the one he has always doted on. Besides, any normal person would want to hold Chin Yojiao's and Bei Yunj's parent-teacher conference. The difference in results was too big. One was second in the cohort and the other was 28th from the bottom. Compared to him, it was really embarrassing. Besides, Bei Yunj was personally raised by Director Lin, but her results were only SOSO. Now that you mention it, I still feel that Bei Yunj's status is not legitimate. How prestigious can it be for her brother to hold it? The girl who was discussing shook her head. So what if she's not legitimate? Didn't we work so hard to get into Yunqing University? Once something happened to Master Pei, the teachers of Yunqing University almost became her support group. Another person who was chewing on an apple sighed. Forget it, let's not worry about it. Hearing this, the girl immediately retorted, isn't it because of Director Lin? But it's impossible for Bei Yunj to get into Yun University because of Director Lin. In the office, Bei Yunj had just passed by when she saw a familiar figure. It was her first time seeing Qin Lang appear so formally in a suit and leather shoes. Besides, he appeared beside her form teacher. Bei Yunj sized up Qin Lang and saw that he was a little nervous but was pretending to be calm. A third brother is here for your parent-teacher conference. Don't worry, third brother won't embarrass you. Where did this news leak out? Bei Yunj happened to see the form teacher, who was a little guilty, from the corner of her eye and raised an eyebrow. Come. Student Pei, bring your third brother to the classroom. Bei Yunj never thought that she would have a parent-teacher conference group and two indecent brothers who would count down to the parent-teacher conference in the group every day. Bei Yunj's lips moved. Actually, I've already. Someone came to the parent-teacher conference. Suddenly, Qin Lang heard a commotion and had a bad feeling. Then, he turned his head and saw someone who shouldn't be there. Qin Yu, why are you here? Bei Yunj froze. Even though the class teacher had seen the world, this was the first time she had seen parents of students with poor grades rushing to attend a parent-teacher conference. Moreover, they were parents who had a full schedule. I took a few days off and dyed my hair back while I was at it. Ger's parent-teacher conference, and having blue hair is not good for her image. Qin Yu smiled slightly and glanced at Qin Lang's iconic silver hair. The homeroom teacher closed his eyes in exhaustion. It's starting again. They're starting to talk to each other again. Every day after work, during his free time, he could almost always see the content of these two in Bei Yunj's parents' group chat. They didn't look like brothers at all. They looked more like enemies who were vying for favor and love. Qin Yu, what do you mean? Is there anyone with silver hair more handsome than me? Qin Lang was enraged. The two of them looked like they were about to start a fight in public. Seeing this, Bei Yunji's eyelids twitched. You, suddenly. Qin Yojiao's cheerful voice sounded from the end of the long corridor in the distance. Brother, why are you here? In an instant, Qin Lang and Qin Yu stopped fighting and both of them looked at the noble man who was wearing an exquisite black suit and whose eyes were as dark as ink. Chapter 255. Qin Lian buttoned his sleeves slowly and ignored Qin Yojiao. This made Qin Yojiao's expression freeze. Brother, my class is here. Qin Yojiao said coquettishly, didn't you say that you brought us gifts? Hearing this, Qin Lian's eyes landed on her and he suddenly snorted. His low and magnetic voice was inexplicably cold. I brought you a gift. You'll know when you get back. With that said, Qin Lian glanced sideways and did not look at Qin Yojiao again. Brother, thank you. Before Qin Yojiao could show a bright smile, she saw Qin Lian walking towards Class 7. This scene. Not only Qin Yojiao, even the others could not help but stare fixedly at him. It had to be said that the three older brothers of the Qin family were all very handsome, but eldest brother's aura was outstanding and gave people an unreachable feeling. Only one word appeared in everyone's minds. Unapproachable. I'm sorry, Teacher Wen. I'm late. Ge's parent-teacher conference hasn't started yet, right? Qin Luyan said slowly. With that said, the form teacher froze. Qin Yu and Qin Lang turned their heads instinctively and looked at Qin Luyan in disbelief. What was going on with eldest brother? Didn't he hate such meetings the most? Did someone call him for Ge's parent-teacher conference? Brother, I came to the parent-teacher conference first. Qin Lang said unhappily. Before Qin Yu could finish speaking, he and Qin Lang felt a threat in Qin Luyan's lazy gaze. Qin Yu and Qin Lang were speechless. Was there a need? Were they biological brothers? Why did he have to fight with them for a parent-teacher conference? At this moment, the atmosphere was awkward. In the next second, Bei Yunji's phone vibrated. She opened her phone and saw that it was a message from Huashidu. I'm almost there. Bei Yunji's pretty eyes moved. How could this situation continue to develop? Deskmate, you're good? Qin Yojiao called 2 over and you're missing 1, Lu Yunci teased softly beside her. Bei Yunji smiled at him. There are 4. Lu Yunci was speechless. It was his first time seeing such a big commotion at the parent-teacher conference. It was not only Class 7, even the students from the class next door were discussing it. F***ck. I thought that Qin Yojiao asked her parents to attend the parent-teacher conference was to show off that she was a legitimate daughter. Now that I look at it, I feel like Bei Yunji has a heavenly group standing beside her. Someone could not help but mock her. I'm going to die of laughter for Qin Yojiao too. She's so flirtatious online, yet she's still pretending to be innocent. Now, no matter how bad Bei Yunji's results are, there are people fighting to attend her parent-teacher conference. Logically speaking, Bei Yunji has only been back for 2 to 3 years. Why do the Qin brothers like her so much? Is hers? Hearing these discussions, Qin Yojiao's face paled and her eyes were filled with hatred as she looked at Bei Yunji. Her fingers were clenched so tightly that they turned white. Bei Yunji, Bei Yunji. Everywhere, Bei Yunji was slapping her in the face. A dark look flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes. At last, the form teacher went to another class and asked for a few chairs, so that these 3 big shots could sit down. In Class 7's classroom, a group of girls was outside the window. When they saw Qin Luyan and the rest sitting in a row, they almost screamed. These were male idols. All of them were popular male idols. Chapter 256. Even the parents looked at Qin Luyan from time to time. Qin Luyan and the other 2 were used to it and felt like they were basking in the spring breeze. However, Bei Yunji, who was sitting at the side, felt a little complicated. Especially at this moment, Lu Yunci was even giving her an encouraging look. Bei Yunji was speechless. Who would be willing to bring a group of people to watch when they failed all the tests? However, other than Bei Yunj, the three brothers of the Qin family were in a good mood at this parent-teacher conference. Her foreign language score is very high, 87 marks. Qin Lang started to boast. In time, Arge can even be a translator. With that said, the parent, who had reprimanded her child because she only scored 100 marks for her foreign language, almost spat out a mouthful of water. With this standard, she could be a translator. Are you dreaming? Then, Qin Yu did not want to be outdone. He picked up Bei Yunj's Chinese paper. Guer's Chinese results are quite good too. Her ancient poems are all correct. All right, second brother wants to release a national song next time. How about Guer write the lyrics for second brother? The parents beside him could not stand it anymore. Wasn't he King pampering her too much? He could boast about 70 to 80 marks. At this moment, only a few students whose results were about the same as Bei Yunj's looked at her in admiration and even gave her a thumbs up. As expected of Bei Yunj, the brothers at home were each more amazing than the other. Bei Yunj's bright and arrogant eyes darkened visibly as she resisted the urge to walk out. This scene made Lu Yuanxi lie on the table, but he could not help but cover his abdomen with one hand as he suppressed his laughter. Not long after, the short class meeting was finally over, and the parents all walked towards the conference hall. Don't worry. Even if our girl scores 0, it's not a big deal, Qin Yu said. Bei Yunj glanced at the time and felt that Huashidu might be coming. Actually, Bei Yunj looked up at Qin Yu. I've already asked brother Shidu to help me with the parent-teacher conference. He's here too? Qin Yu was stunned. Bei Yunj, yes. Qin Yu thought for a while. It's fine. Then the 5 of us will sit in a row. Bei Yunj, forget it. Hengda's conference hall was indeed very big. A few minutes later, sure enough, when Bei Yunj and the others entered the venue, a tall figure appeared. Qin Yu's eyes were sharp and he saw Huashidu immediately. Master Du here. Hearing this, Huashidu looked towards Qin Yu. However, he did not expect that other than him, there would be someone else holding a parent-teacher conference for Bei Yunj. Moreover, there was more than one. However, Huashidu didn't think too much about it and walked towards Bei Yunj. At the same time, many people's gazes fell on Huashidu. She originally thought that the 3 brothers of the Qin family were already eye-catching enough, but she didn't expect another godlike man to appear. The handsome man was also dressed in formal wear, but his eyebrows were clear and noble. He had wide shoulders and a narrow waist, and his legs were slender and excessively ascetic. His casual and lazy appearance was still impossible to ignore. I'm gone. What kind of exquisite man is this? Is this also Bei Yunj's brother? Sob, 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 how can he be a man who looks exactly like me? I like mature men too much. Compared to the stinky younger brothers in school, who doesn't like a gentle and hormonal older brother? Chapter 257. Stop talking. Whether it's the school hunk or the domineering Xiao, they're not ours. With that said, everyone seemed to hear the faint sound of their hearts breaking. Wasn't this too real? At this moment, Bei Yunj raised an eyebrow and turned around quickly. However, she had clearly heard the girls' discussion just now. Seeing that the young lady not far away had suddenly turned her head and did not look at him anymore, Huashidu raised his eyebrows and did not say anything. Master Du, aren't you being too diligent? You even came to my sister's parent-teacher conference, Qin Yu said happily. Hearing this, Huashidu glanced at him and said carelessly, I didn't expect someone to come either. And there were 3 of them. It's all right. It's not troublesome to have more people. Let's listen together. Qin Yu was very generous. Bei Yunj was controlling her expression very well. Sir, you are? Qin Luyan's gaze had been on Huashidu. At this moment, Huashidu glanced sideways. His attitude was neither close nor distant. He smirked. Huashidu. I've heard a lot about you. So it's President Hua. Qin Luyan was indeed surprised. He did not expect the person in front of him to be the rumored heir of the Hua Corporation. I heard Yun Yun mention President Qin. After Huashidu finished speaking, Bei Yunj glanced at him in confusion. When had she mentioned Qin Luyan? However, at this moment, when Qin Yu and Qin Lang heard this, their hearts ached inexplicably. Gu had actually mentioned Big Brother. Then, did he never mention them? Qin Luyan smiled and chatted casually with Huashidu for a while. After that, the two of them had no intention of continuing. A row of 5 people sat together in the conference hall. Bei Yunj, who was in the middle, was a little silent. It was only when she felt Huashidu's gaze from the side that she leaned closer to Huashidu unconsciously and explained softly in his ear. I didn't know they were here either. She knew that this scene was very out of control. We'll talk when we get back. Let's attend the parent-teacher conference first. Bei Yunj was speechless. There was no need to be so serious. Qin Luyan, who had been observing Huashidu, also realized that the man's motive seemed to be only for the parent-teacher conference. He could not help but darken his eyes. Brother, why are you looking at Master Du? Qin Yu asked. Qin Luyan turned around. You know him? Lives in his house. Qin Yu was stunned for a moment before he quickly spoke up for Huashidu. Don't worry. I've known him since high school and I've never seen him fall for anyone. How could there be such a coincidence when an iron tree blossoms? Qin Luyan frowned. He indeed did not see Huashidu doing anything inappropriate to Gu. He observed for 10 minutes, and it was mostly Gu who was chatting with him. The man listened attentively, but his eyes were fixed on the PowerPoint slide that was automatically rolling on the screen. The 2 people who were being observed. Brother, do you know my monthly test results? Bei Yunj was considering whether she should let Huashidu be mentally prepared. Huashidu looked up and chuckled softly. No need. I want to maintain a sense of anticipation. Bei Yunj was speechless. Looking at the usually bright and arrogant little girl who wanted to say something but was hesitating with a complicated expression, Huashidu could not help but smile. Brother, I'm afraid you won't be able to accept it, Bei Yunj said honestly. She had to know that she still had to attend the parent-teacher conference. At the very least, she would pass all of them. Yun, have some confidence in yourself, the man said slowly. P.S. There are 19 chapters here. Old Sue is continuing to write. You will see 30 chapters before midnight. Be obedient and remember the monthly ticket. Sleep early and good night. Chapter 258. After struggling for a moment, Bei Yunj decided to give up. However, on the other side, Qin Yojiao gritted her teeth when she saw this scene. At first, she thought that Bei Yunj would only embarrass herself at this parent-teacher conference. However, she did not expect Qin Yu to take leave to attend Bei Yunj's parent-teacher conference. And Big Brother and that man, Jiao Jiao? Did you see that? She's second in the level again. Her results are very stable. Mrs. Qin could not help but laugh, her eyes filled with glee. This should be her daughter. Of course, I can't embarrass Mom. The darkness in Qin Yojiao's eyes dissipated and she smiled at her. The school leader spoke for more than 10 minutes. Not long after, the top 100 and bottom 100 of the grade ranking were displayed on the screen. However, in order to make things less awkward for the bottom 100 students, the school leaders chose to only show the student surnames and student numbers. Yun Yun, you should be the only one with the surname Pei in the entire level, right? The man glanced at the 28th place from the bottom and turned around, his tone cynical. Bei Yunj was speechless. Big Brother looks quite sad when he sees it like this. Bei Yunj was speechless. Until the parent-teacher conference ended. The form teacher of class 7 even specially asked Bei Yunj to stay. Student Pei, which brother usually cares more about your studies? I still have something on, so I have to talk to you privately. There's no need for the other parents. The form teacher was also a little guilty. With so many brothers surrounding him, what if they didn't like what he said and hit him directly? With that said, without waiting for the Qin brothers to look forward to it, Bei Yunj looked at Huashidu, her excessively beautiful eyes curved. She reached out and tugged at Huashidu's sleeve. Brother! Seeing this, Qin Yu and Qin Lang could not help but turn red. Her 3 biological brothers were here, but Ge did not choose any of them. However, Qin Luyan's eyes darkened and he glanced at Huashidu. He was selfish and did not want Ge to have too much contact with other men. But now Ge might not be the same as before. She might not have so many expectations for her big brother. You want Mr. Hua to be your parent? Qin Luyan pursed his lips and asked gently. Yes. Bei Yunj answered without hesitation. When the 3 brothers heard this, they were silent for a moment and did not say anything else. Thank you, Mr. Hua. Qin Luyan nodded at Huashidu. Huashidu glanced at Bei Yunj and smiled imperceptibly. It's no trouble. When Huashidu entered the office and chatted with the form teacher privately, Bei Yunj leaned against the wall alone. A short while later, Qin Yojiao's voice appeared at an inappropriate time. She held Qin Luyan's hand and smiled. Big brother, let's go eat. Mom said that since I won an award this time, let's go out to eat together. A dark look flashed past Qin Luyan's eyes and he glanced at his watch. He looked up at Qin Yojiao. You don't have to go out to eat. I got someone to prepare it at home. Let's go back to the old mansion together. Hearing this, Qin Yojiao could not suppress the excitement in her eyes. Really? Big brother? It had been a long time since she stayed in the old mansion. However, Big brother was the most powerful person in the family now. Even the old master would listen to Big brother a little. Qin Luyan did not answer this question. Instead, he glanced at Qin Yu and Qin Lang and said calmly, You guys can come too. Dad and Mom too. Qin Yu inexplicably felt that something big was about to happen, but it was not easy to figure it out. Chapter 259. After all, eldest brother's temper was unpredictable to begin with. Qin Yu and Qin Lang only left reluctantly after greeting Bei Yunj. On the other hand, Bei Yunj leaned against the wall and knocked on the wall in boredom. You haven't left yet? Lu Yuanci was a little surprised. My brother is having a private conversation inside. Bei Yunj glanced at him. Why didn't your parents come? My parents are overseas. The old madam has something on today, so she didn't come. Hearing this, Bei Yunj nodded. Then you should go back early. The person inside isn't your biological brother, right? Lu Yuanci suddenly asked. Bei Yunj did not intend to hide it. Lu Yuanci's eyes darkened and no one knew what he was thinking. All right, then you should go back early. I'll get going first. Okay, bye. Bei Yunj waved. Huashidu went in for about half an hour before the door opened. The moment Bei Yunj saw Huashidu come out, she felt an inexplicable sense of guilt. Let's go. I'll take you to eat. Auntie Miao isn't around today. Let's go to the restaurant, Huashidu said. Bei Yunj followed Huashidu all the way until she got into the car and fastened her seatbelt. She asked calmly, Brother, why aren't you saying anything? The man said slowly, It's brother's first time coming to school to be scolded. I haven't thought of what to say yet. Through the rearview mirror, Huashidu saw Bei Yunj's expression and his thin red lips curled up. Teacher Wen said that Yun Yun is very smart, but she doesn't like to study. Yun Yun, tell brother why you don't want to study? Is it because of the Qin family? Bei Yunj, no. Then is it because of brother? Bei Yunj's answer was even faster. Hearing this, Huashidu chuckled softly again and glanced at the girl beside him lightly. He dragged out his voice. Then do you have to make brother unhappy? Bei Yunj, seeing that the girl had fallen silent, Huashidu suddenly said casually, Yunun. Bei Yunj looked up at him. Huashidu added, Open the drawer in front of you. Bei Yunj did not hesitate. She turned around and opened the drawer. She found that it was filled with a lot of candy. It's okay if you don't do well. Brother will teach you well. Bei Yunj glanced sideways and saw the man's superior jawline and handsome and noble eyes. His magnetic and lazy chuckle tickled her eardrums. I was just teasing you just now. How can I bully our Yun like this? Bei Yunj's heart beat faster for some reason. She took a piece of candy and peeled it with her eyes lowered. Brother, do you want some? It's for you. Big brother doesn't eat anything too sweet. The night. Qin family's old residence. 6 people were seated at the round table. Lu Yan, you're finally back. I haven't seen you for a long time. Have you lost weight? Mrs. Qin was very happy tonight. The people he wanted to see were all there, and the people he didn't want to see weren't there. No. Qin Luyan's tone was calm as he said, Mom, I've prepared a few boxes of pearls and diamonds for you. Didn't you want the designer to design them for you last time? Did you hear that? Lu Yan is much more filial than the two of you. Mrs. Qin was overjoyed. Second brother, third brother, and Dad, I've prepared them too. The assistant will bring them over later. Qin Luyan slowly cut the steak and took a sip of red wine. Big brother, what about me? Qin Yu pouted coquettishly, thinking that Qin Luyan wanted to give her a surprise. Chapter 260. Of course you have one too. Qin Luyan glanced at her and suddenly smirked. What did Big Brother prepare for me? Qin Yojiao was excited. Ever since Bei Yunj came out of the mental hospital, second brother, third brother and the rest had never prepared a gift for her. I prepared a household registration certificate for you. Qin Luyan's slow words made Qin Yojiao's face pale. The knife and fork in Mrs. Qin's hand also fell to the ground. Then she quickly stood up. Luyan, what nonsense are you talking about? At this moment, Qin Yu and Qin Lang sat quietly, looking at Qin Luyan in admiration. As expected of Big Brother, Mom, your daughter can have someone else, but the elder young miss of the Qin family can only be Bei Yunj. Qin Luyan put down the red wine glass and wiped his thin lips. However, this refined and elegant appearance made people's hair stand on end. Within moments, Qin Luyan took the household registration certificate from the side and put on his gold-rimmed glasses. The man was still refined and handsome. His tone was neither fast nor slow, but it was a little unreasonable. After tonight, Miss Qin Yojiao will move out of the Qin family. Qinlin, how dare you? Mrs. Qin's voice became shrill as she roared angrily. That's not right either. Qin Luyan ignored Mrs. Qin and said with a smile, the name Qin Yojiao was prepared for Ge. Although Ge doesn't need it anymore, it shouldn't be yours. Big brother, you. Qin Yojiao's face paled and she immediately went forward to pull Qin Luyan. Her entire body was trembling as she said with a sobbing tone, Big brother, why did you become like this too? But I didn't do anything. Why are you chasing me away? I can give you the name, but this surname must be changed back, Miss Zhang. Qin Luyan's last 3 words almost made Qin Yojiao's face turn pale. Back then, when Bei Yunj was found, the Qin family had also found her biological father, who was the director of the mental hospital. However, Qin Yojiao despised her biological father for opening a mental hospital and doing illegal things, so she had always been reluctant to go home. In fact, after her biological father was cut by Bei Yunj, Qin Yojiao had never thought of going back to take a look. Big brother, don't do this. Qin Yojiao's makeup was ruined from crying and she was out of breath. I don't want to go back. Can you not make me go back? I will never go against Bei Yunj again. Please. Qin Luyan flung Qin Yojiao's hand away and said coldly, tomorrow morning, everyone will know that Bei Yunj is the only eldest young miss of the Qin family. In his previous life, he had also thought of doting on this little sister of his. But who would have thought that when his leg was broken by that woman back then, Qin Yojiao would run over eagerly and become that woman's good friend. She even helped that woman and forced him to marry her. He wanted him to marry a woman who had ruined the Qin family. What a joke! Qin Luyan restrained the coldness and hostility in his eyes and the indifference in his eyes returned to normal. But now, everything could be redone. Then, what he wanted to do was to protect Ge and the Qin family. Lu Yan, don't go overboard. Father Qin said in a deep voice. Although he wanted Ge to come back, he did not want Jiao Jiao to leave either. After leaving the Qin family, Jiao Jiao would definitely suffer a lot. Dad, Mom, I've already bought a manor for the 2 of you in our nation. If you want to go, I'll get someone to send you there tomorrow. Chapter 261. Hearing this, even Qin Yu and Qin Lang sucked in a breath of cold air. What was eldest brother doing? Forcing her to abdicate? If Mr. and Mrs. Qin did not let Qin Yojiao leave, he would send these two people overseas directly. This was too ruthless. He was indeed the man who Grandpa had said was the most capable of inheriting the family business. Seeing this, Qin Yu and Qin Lang felt a refreshing wind blow from their tailbones to the back of their heads. They felt refreshed. It was a pity that they could not record this exciting scene. Qin Luyan, what do you mean? Are you going against the heavens? Mrs. Qin looked at him in disbelief. Qin Luyan did not have much emotion. He had probably guessed that Mrs. Qin would be like this. He chuckled. If you say so, then so be it. Luyan, there are some things that you have to think carefully. Is what you're doing really right? Mr. Qin said in a low voice. Dad, don't worry. I will never regret what I've done in this life. Qin Luyan smirked at him. Then, the father and son looked at each other. One had a complicated gaze while the other was calm. The night was rainy. Qin Luyan looked at the girl in front of him. She was crying so hard that she could not breathe, but there was no pity in his eyes. I've already gotten someone to change your school record. From now on, you have nothing to do with our Qin family. Eldest brother, I'm begging you. Can you not chase me away? I'm not the eldest young miss of the Qin family. Please let me stay, okay? Qin Yojiao grabbed Qin Luyan's hand and begged. She was drenched and looked disheveled, her eyes filled with tears. However, looking at this scene, Qin Luyan chuckled. This scene was too familiar. In his previous life, when Ge was seriously ill, he had also climbed down from the wheelchair on this rainy day and knelt down to beg this woman, hoping that she could give some medical fees to save Ge. But in the end, she broke that bank card in front of him. She leaned in front of him and smiled. Eldest brother, even if you're not my eldest brother now, I won't give it to anyone else even if I'm ruined. Do you understand? Qin Luyan lifted her chin, but his black eyes were filled with coldness. His smiling voice made one shiver. Qin Yojiao, I didn't kill you because I had my reservations. Is that clear? After saying this, Qin Yojiao looked into Qin Luyan's cold eyes and the coldness spread to her bones unconsciously. She shuddered. Big Brother had never looked at her like that before. Such a big brother was too terrifying. The next day, another explosive piece of news came from the Qin clan, shocking everyone. Qin Yojiao, who was doted on by the Qin family, was actually not Mr. Qin and Mrs. Qin's biological daughter. Instead, he had been swapped with someone else back then. That was why Qin Yojiao had been occupying her place for so many years. She enjoyed all the rights that belonged to Bei Yunj. When this news came out, many people thought it was fake news. However, they soon realized that the person who had sent the application was the Qin Corporation. If that was the case, then wasn't Qin Yojiao's condescending Bei Yunj too disgusting? She ate someone else's food, used someone else's things, and even took over someone else's parents and brother for almost 20 years. She actually had the cheek to pretend to be aggrieved. What kind of pretentious white lotus was this? However, what was even more confusing was Mrs. Qin's statement of severing ties back then. What was wrong with doting on a fake daughter and abandoning her biological daughter? Chapter 262. Perhaps because the news this time was too sensational, the popularity of the topic remained high. It was at the top of the list for the entire day. The netizens were also discussing. What is the Qin family doing? It's all about their family every day. It can't be, our beloved little Princess Qin is actually a fake daughter, heartbroken? Then didn't that little celebrity who was so arrogant and said that she was Qin Yojiao's best friend suffer a huge loss? She offended the real young lady. Isn't this her fate of being frozen? Someone in the industry exposed that the company Qin Yojiao is in can't do it anymore. It will definitely go bankrupt in 3 months. This comment is proof. No wonder the Qin brothers are so protective of Bei Yunj. How can they not protect their biological sister? The real young lady's life is really good. She's not in the Qin family and is still Director Lin's daughter. But even if she's not their biological daughter, she's still a daughter they've raised for almost 20 years. The Qin family is too tasteless. Arrange it for me. I want the analysis upstairs. Contrarian Research Institute. Because of this incident, more than half of Qin Youjiao's fans had left. After all, Qin Youjiao had become popular because of her fair and rich beauty. But now, the Qin family had personally criticized her for not being the Qin family's eldest young lady, so many fans could not accept it. Especially the storm of Qin Youjiao mentioning Bei Yunj in the livestream. This was not over yet. The next day, this matter was also spreading like wildfire in Hengda High School. Even the girls who usually played well with Qin Youjiao started to talk bad about her. Even Ling Jiwei, who was in the same class as Bei Yunj, did not look too good. She never thought that Bei Yunj was the real eldest young lady of the Qin family and Qin Youjiao was actually an imposter. All these years, she was actually trying to please a fake young lady of the Qin family. There were many people who had the same thoughts as Ling Jiwei. However, because of this matter, many people gradually understood that Bei Yunj was really not to be offended. Master Pei, let's go to the canteen for lunch. Chu Zhixing lost weight very quickly. This was probably because Lu Yuanci often dragged him to play basketball with him. One could vaguely see the heroic spirit in his eyes. All right. Bei Yunj was not in a good mood. She went to the cafeteria with Chu Zhixing and Lu Yuanci. But what he didn't expect was, at this time, someone actually came to find trouble with her. Cheng Zihuai held Qin Youjiao's hand and walked in front of her with a dark expression. Bei Yunj, you should have some self-awareness. Even if you are the eldest daughter of the Qin family, no one will think that you are very powerful. Cheng Zihuai sneered. You were just born into a good family. Other than that, how can you compare to Jiao Jiao? Bei Yunj's appetite, which was already not very good at noon, became even worse. She suddenly laughed, her eyes bright and flamboyant. Bei Yunj looked up slowly, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. He patiently said playfully, Student Cheng, can you get lost? As soon as he finished speaking, everyone present couldn't help but gasp. Cheng Zihuai was the most handsome boy in Hengda and also the most outstanding senior in the 3rd year of high school. Even Lu Yuanci had never spoken to Cheng Zihuai like this before. Bei Yunj. Cheng Zihuai's expression darkened. Cheng Zihuai, as a man, are you looking for trouble with girls whenever you have problems? Lu Yuanci interrupted. Cheng Zihuai's eyes swept over Lu Yuanci coldly before they landed on Bei Yunj. He laughed coldly. No wonder you're so powerful. So you found a helper. Chapter 263. With that said, he glanced at everyone again, as if what he said to Bei Yunj just now was also said to everyone. Qin Youjiao is my fiancé. This matter has been decided a long time ago. I also want to know who wants to go against the Cheng family. With that said, the thoughts of many people who wanted to ridicule Qin Youjiao immediately dissipated. They almost forgot that Qin Youjiao and Cheng Zihuai had such a good relationship. Even if she wasn't the Qin family's young lady, she would still be the young madam of the Cheng family in the future. Indeed, they could not offend her. However, at this moment, Bei Yunj suddenly laughed and stood up slowly. This scene made Lu Yuanci's eyelid twitch, and he had a bad feeling. Yunj, you... Before Lu Yuanci could finish speaking, he saw Bei Yunj walking in front of Cheng Zihuai slowly. Bei Yunj, what else do you have to pretend for? Cheng Zihuai snorted disdainfully. Haven't you always been jealous of Jiao Jiao and think that Jiao Jiao stole something from you? Why don't you see if you're worthy of being with Jia Jia? Before he could finish speaking, before everyone could react, they saw Cheng Zihuai being thrown over his shoulder by Bei Yunj. Why are you so arrogant in front of me? Bei Yunj's beautiful and charming eyes were filled with uncontrollable ruthlessness as she spoke with a smile. At this moment, the scalps of those who saw this turned numb. Fortunately, they did not go and provoke Bei Yunj back then. He had actually dealt with Cheng Zihuai in front of so many people, big boss. She was really a big boss. Not to mention the others, even Lu Yuanci, who was sitting not far away, dropped his chopsticks in shock. Lu Yuanci was perplexed. Why was his desk mate so wild? Suddenly, Cheng Zihuai's furious voice sounded. Bei Yunj. He was actually beaten up by a girl in front of so many people in school? This girl was Bei Yunj. Without giving him a chance to stand up, Bei Yunj stepped on Cheng Zihuai's chest ruthlessly and rubbed it carelessly. Cheng Zihuai's face turned pale from the pain and he almost shouted out loud. Her bright eyes were full of impudence as she laughed again. To be honest, I've wanted to do this for a long time, student Cheng. If it weren't for the parent-teacher conference yesterday, she would have smashed the chair on Cheng Zihuai's head. At this moment, seeing this, Qin Youjiao's legs still turned weak. She did not expect Bei Yunj to hit her. This woman even dared to teach Cheng Zihuai a lesson, let alone her, so, don't look for trouble with me for no reason. Bei Yunj's red lips curled into a smile. She bent down slightly, but the smile did not reach her eyes. Otherwise, I'll be stepping on your head next time. After that, just as Cheng Zihuai felt that his bones were about to break, Bei Yunj suddenly lifted her leg. She turned to pick up her plate and asked lazily, "Are you guys going to continue eating?" Chu Zhixing and Lu Yuanci reacted and shook their heads frantically. If he didn't leave now and the teacher on duty saw him, this ancestor would enter the principal's office again. After Bei Yunj left, Cheng Zihuai's expression was terrible and the people around him did not dare to look at him. "Zihuai, are you okay?" Qin Youjiao went forward and asked with concern. Cheng Zihuai did not care that Qin Youjiao had watched him being taught a lesson just now. After all, Qin Youjiao was just an ordinary girl. She was probably shocked as well. I'll make her pay the price sooner or later. Cheng Zihuai's face was almost livid as he gritted his teeth and said this. Master Pei, isn't your temper too bad today? Chapter 264. Lu Yuanci could not help teasing. At this moment, he could not help but remember the first time he met Bei Yunj. It seemed like Bei Yunj had saved him some face back then. Otherwise, if he was beaten up in the canteen, he would probably be depressed for a week. Really? Bei Yunj raised an eyebrow. Lu Yuanci immediately said honestly, "This morning, when I saw you sitting, I didn't even dare to ask you to move when I got into my seat." This morning, even the corners of Bei Yunj's eyes were slightly cold and the atmosphere was inexplicably low. Unfortunately, Cheng Zihuai's eyes were on his head and he still threw himself at the gun. Bei Yunj was speechless. She did not notice this. This morning, when she heard Huashidu say that she would go to his office to do her homework from Friday to Sunday, she was a little resistant. However, she did not expect even Lu Yuanci to notice it. Bei Yunj recalled that when that man sent her to school this morning, he had even scratched her chin and smiled seductively. "Why are you so happy to do your homework in brother's office? Why are your ears red?" Bei Yunj was speechless. This man was indeed lying to her. After school, Qin Youjiao had just left when she heard a voice beside her. "Jiao Jiao." Qin Youjiao looked up instinctively. When she saw Mrs. Qin, she immediately ran over and hugged her, crying uncontrollably. "Mom, are you the only one who still wants me at home?" Qin Youjiao choked. "It's not convenient for your father to come over either. After all, your older brother." Mrs. Qin's expression did not look too good either. She did not expect Qin Luyan to be so ruthless the moment he returned. "Mom, then can I go home in the future?" Qin Youjiao was really afraid that she would return to her original family. "Jiao Jiao, don't be afraid. Mom is here. I won't let anyone bully you." With that said, Mrs. Qin took out a key and a bank card. "This is the residence your father bought previously. Jiao Jiao, you can stay there. Although Mom can't accompany you, I won't let Jiao Jiao suffer. And this card has 6 million yuan. You can't move too much for the time being. I'm afraid your older brother will find out." Hearing this, Qin Youjiao hated Bei Yunj even more. Why did Bei Yunj come back? Why did she have to lose everything she had for so many years? "Mom, do I have to live outside in the future?" Qin Youjiao's eyes reddened. It was only now that Mrs. Qin realized that Qin Luyan was the most similar to old Master Qin. In the past, old Master Qin refused to let Qin Youjiao stay in the old manor. Now, Qin Luyan refused to let Qin Youjiao go home. Everyone was comparing Jiao Jiao to a dead end. Mrs. Qin caressed Qin Youjiao lovingly as a dark look flashed past her eyes. Jiao Jiao, as long as you become more outstanding, Mom will have a way to make you come back. Besides, I've already talked to Madam Cheng about your engagement with Zihuai. The Cheng family will not allow their daughter-in-law to not have a beautiful background. When she heard that, a dark glint flashed through Qin Youjiao's eyes as she relaxed slightly. As long as Mother Qin didn't give up on her, she still had a chance to go back. Bei Yunj. She didn't believe that she couldn't drag this trash down. Hua Corporation. In the CEO's office. Bei Yunj saw a small figure sitting obediently on the sofa. Momo? Momo looked up and her eyes lit up when she saw Bei Yunj. Sister. Momo put down her pen and ran over to hug Bei Yunj's thigh, saying in a childish voice, Sister, are you here to do your homework too? Chapter 265. Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched. She glanced at the man who was working and led Momo to the sofa. The two of them, one big and one small, sat at the coffee table. Each of them had a bottle of milk, a homework book, and a pen. The scene was inexplicably adorable. However, Hoshidu seemed to be very busy today and did not look up at them. After a while, Mo asked softly, Sister, when Grandma and I went to Brother's house last time, were you hiding in Brother's closet? Bei Yunj's fingers paused. Yes. Was Sister playing hide and seek? Then where was Brother hiding? Mo was even more curious. Sister forgot. Bei Yunj's eyes curved and she quickly changed the topic. Momo, why are you here to do your homework today? Because Grandma went out to play. Mo and alas have to stay at Brother's place for the night. Mo was initially unwilling, but when he thought about how Bei Yunj was staying at Hoshidu's place, he quickly agreed. I see. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. Suddenly, not far away, the man's casual voice sounded. Mo, if you continue to affect your sister's studies, alas will have to stay on the streets. Bei Yunj. Mo immediately covered his mouth and looked at Hoshidu accusingly. Brother was not talking to him, and he was not letting him talk to Sister. Mo was unhappy, but he did not dare to disobey his brother. He could only puff up his cheeks angrily. In the evening, Bei Yunj took advantage of the time when Hoshidu was in a meeting to take out her iPad when her phone suddenly rang. She glanced at the caller ID and saw that it was Yu Manran calling. She quickly picked it up. What's wrong? As soon as Bei Yunj finished speaking, she heard loud music on the other end of the phone, mixed with a woman's excited scream. Yu Manran was at a bar. Come to Muse. Yu Manran was a little excited. Bei Yunj quietly turned on her iPad and continued to browse through the documents. She said lazily, Spare me, I just finished a parent-teacher conference. Before she could finish her sentence, Bei Yunj suddenly heard an ear-piercing scream. It seemed that something had happened. Yu Manran? Bei Yunj was just about to ask when the phone was hung up. What was going on? Bei Yunj frowned and tapped the coffee table twice with his fingertips. He was still worried that something would happen to Yu Manran. Mo, when Big Brother comes back later, help me pass a message. Tell him that Big Sister went to find a friend, okay? Bei Yunj looked at him. Okay, sister, be careful, Mo replied. She cupped her cheeks in boredom, looking dazed and cute. Bei Yunj couldn't help but smile and kiss Mo before leaving. Muse. Big sister man, calm down. How are you going to explain later if you trick that ancestor into coming here? The manager's head was about to explode. How could there be such a difficult artist to manage? Yu Manran burped. He was completely drunk, but his eyes were very fierce. No. I asked her to come here to avenge me. The manager looked at the table full of money that Yu Manran had lost and couldn't help but twitch his eyelids. Make sure that ancestor doesn't come here to take your life first, okay? After finding out that Bei Yunj was the real daughter of the Qin family, the manager was even more certain that Bei Yunj was not someone to be trifled with. In the end, Yu Man Ran was like an idiot. He lost a game of cards and insisted on getting Bei Yunj to come here. Wasn't he afraid that Bei Yunj would come here to beat him up instead of playing cards? Chapter 266. Yu Man Ran burped again and walked unsteadily to the card table. Sister Man, it's just a game of cards. You don't have to go that far. The rich second-generation heirs who had known Yu Man Ran for a long time were at a loss for words. Who knew that Yu Man Ran would be so stubborn when he was drunk and insist on winning? How long had he been dragging them into this game? Wait for my girl come. We will definitely win back our losses. Yu Man Ran said as he burped. He looked drunk. This made the rich second-generation heirs a little interested in Bei Yunj. Who was Yu Man Ran? She was a famous arrogant lady in the entertainment circle. How could she be so obedient? However, half an hour later, Bei Yunj arrived. When she saw the drunk Yu Man Ran sitting at the card table, the corners of her eyes couldn't help but twitch. She had thought that something had happened to this person. Yu Man Ran. Suddenly, a clear and melodious voice sounded. This leisurely tone inexplicably made the manager shudder. However, Yu Man Ran was completely unaware. The moment he heard Bei Yunj's voice, he pounced forward and hugged Bei Yunj. Good. Save me. Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched. She pried Yu Man Ran open little by little and asked lazily, "What's wrong?" At this moment, several rich second-generation heirs who were playing cards saw Bei Yunj's face clearly and a trace of surprise flashed past their eyes. Which family did this lady come from? She was so beautiful that she was eye-catching. Not long after, Bei Yunj realized that when Yu Man Ran said save her, he meant save her table's luck. A few minutes later, Bei Yunj sat on Yu Man Ran's seat and leisurely won back what Yu Man Ran had lost. The three rich second-generation heirs lost so badly that they started to doubt their lives. Where did Yu Man Ran find this person? Wasn't this too cruel? After winning everything back, Bei Yunj quickly stood up and said, "Okay, I still have something to do. I have to go back." Why don't you play for a while more?" Yu Man Ran held onto Bei Yunj's arm and said coquettishly. Bei Yunj glanced at her and couldn't be bothered to argue with the drunkard. However, when Yu Man Ran heard this, he suddenly whispered, "Ew, don't tell me you're in love?" Bei Yunj paused for a moment and looked at her leisurely. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "I'm not spouting nonsense. Something must have happened if you're in such a hurry to go back." After Yu Man Ran finished speaking, a glint flashed across her eyes. She chuckled inexplicably and moved closer to Bei Yunj's ear. "Why don't you try it secretly next time?" There was an ambiguous meaning in his words. Bei Yunj quickly understood what Yu Man Ran was implying. "What do you want me to try?" Yu Man Ran said, "The easiest ways to test your feelings are holding hands, kissing, and making love." After speaking, Yu Man Ran smiled meaningfully. "Forget about the last one. Gur is still so young. It looks like you've really drunk too much." Bei Yunj looked at her and laughed leisurely again. Yu Man Ran, who had drunk too much, was indeed bold. Her instincts told her that something must have happened to Bei Yunj. Hence, Yu Man Ran used all kinds of methods to make Bei Yunj continue to play cards a few more times. He wanted to see if Bei Yunj, who was in a relationship with Bei Yunj, would take the initiative to look for Bei Yunj. But to Bei Yunj, this card game was just like the homework she had done in the office just now. There was nothing that could pique her interest. But perhaps it was because of what Yu Man Ran had said just now that she suddenly remembered the scene in the closet with Washidu. She couldn't tell if she was nervous at that time or if her heart was really beating faster. Chapter 267. At this moment, Washidu had just finished his meeting when he realized that the little one was missing. "Where's your sister?" Washidu squatted on one knee and looked at Mo held his cheeks with both hands and tilted his head. His homework was placed far away. Sister went to look for a friend. Look for a friend? Washidu raised his eyebrows slightly. He had never paid attention to this little guy's social circle. Did she say when she would be back? Momo shook his head and explained on behalf of Bei Yunj. Sister left in a hurry. However, suddenly, Yu Hanran made a phone call. What's the matter? Hua Shidu's tone was casual as he walked towards his desk. Master Du, you're not good at managing the family. Our sister even went to Muse. Yu Hanran gloated. The moment he heard the news, he called. How did you know? Hua Shidu stopped in his tracks and asked unhurriedly. I saw that you were in a hurry to look for her the last time. I told my subordinates to inform me if our sister goes again in the future. Yu Hanran teased. Has our sister been led astray? What should we do to... Immediately. Before he could finish speaking, the call was hung up. Yu Hanran? Wasn't this man too heartless? Throwing him away after using him? Muse Bar. The three rich second-generation heirs could not help but feel their hearts ache as they watched the chips in their hands decrease. Yu Manran, this woman, actually found such a strong external helper? They looked at the baby-faced girl beside them who secretly handed Bei Yunj a fruit plate and got Bei Yunj to go easy on her. The other two? There was such an open backdoor? Yu Manran saw the two angry and distorted faces and gradually calmed down. One of them even silently reached into his pocket and took out a cigarette box. Yu Manran immediately interrupted. Feng Fei, her is still a high middle school student. Before he could finish speaking, he stopped abruptly. Bei Yunj, who was playing cards, did not notice a pair of bony hands behind him. He casually took a lollipop from the table next to him. Then he brought it to her lips. Bei Yunj subconsciously bit the candy when she smelled the faint scent of lychee. But a moment later, he felt a pleasant and familiar cold fragrance around him. Bei Yunj. The next moment, Bei Yunj slowly turned her head and looked into the man's pale eyes. Brother? Bei Yunj had just opened her mouth when the man reached out and casually held the candy stick. His low, magnetic, and languid voice sounded softly. Bite it, Yun Yun. These words caused people's imaginations to run wild, causing their faces to blush and their hearts to race. Especially when he saw the person's face clearly, his heart beat even faster. Only Yu Manran saw clearly that the man who came was actually Hua Shidu. He was so scared that he woke up. But, Master Du. Yu Manran's brain froze. She never thought that the person she thought would be related to Guru was actually this person? Wasn't this person famous for not getting close to women? Oh, this was true. She had personally experienced it. Back then, old Madame Hua had randomly matched Yu Manran. When she saw that Hua Shidu was indifferent to everyone, she even had designs on Yu Manran. After all, the Hua family and the Yu family had always been on good terms. But how could Yu Manran have the guts to do that? No matter how good-looking or how powerful he wasn't someone she could get her hands on, all right? Hence, when Yu Manran heard the news that night, she immediately got a boyfriend to save her life. Chapter 268. The man's nonchalant gaze landed on her. Are you Yunyun's friend? Yu Manran braced himself. She had gone overboard. If she had known that the person who had a relationship with her was Master Du, she wouldn't have dared to pull Bei Yunj out. Then, before Hua Shidu could speak, Yu Manran took the initiative to admit her mistake. I'm sorry, Master Du, I drank too much. I didn't know about Yunyun's relationship with you. As soon as she finished speaking, Yu Manran hurriedly picked up her high heels and ran out barefooted as if she didn't care about her life. Everyone? When this scene landed in the eyes of the others, the atmosphere became more and more oppressive. Fortunately, Hua Shidu only glanced at them. In the end, his gaze landed on Bei Yunj. There was a faint smile in his eyes. Yun Yun, she's gone. Do you still want to continue playing? Bei Yunj immediately shook her head. Let's go home. She almost forgot that Hua Shidu and Yu Manran knew each other, so he should also know Yu Manran. On the way, Bei Yunj followed Hua Shidu very quietly. After all, the parent-teacher conference had just been held last week, and now she was caught at a bar. Bei Yunj looked up and saw that the man in front of her really did not intend to pay attention to her. She quickly walked forward. "Brother." Hwashidu opened the car door and waited for Bei Yunj to get in before returning to the driver's seat. Although Bei Yunj saw that he looked relaxed, he did not say a word. "Actually, I was helping Man win some money just now." Bei Yunj tapped her index finger on the armrest of the car door and explained calmly. Hearing this, Hwashidu finally turned around and glanced at her unhurriedly. He was refined and lazy. "Is that so? Then why did I see someone trying to pass you a cigarette?" Bei Yunj, ? When did this happen? Suddenly, the image of Hwashidu feeding her candy appeared in Bei Yunj's mind. At that time, the young man behind Hwashidu seemed to be holding a cigarette. She couldn't explain it anymore. After getting out of the car, it was already 9 o'clock when Hwashidu brought Bei Yunj home. As for Momo, who was still growing, she was asked to go to bed early. Suddenly, Bei Yunj stood in front of Hwashidu and looked up at him with a smile. "Brother, I know I was wrong. Can't we make a deal? How can I not be angry?" The little girl seemed to be used to this trick. As long as she pretended to be obedient, no one would bear to scold her. The man chuckled casually and raised his eyes. His appearance was light and seductive. He stretched out his hand lazily and gently pushed her forehead with his cold fingers. He said in a lazy and magnetic voice, "Yes, brother will be unhappy whenever he sees Yun now." Bei Yunj, ? As Bei Yunj regained her senses, there was a commotion in the living room. When he turned on the lights, he found that Alice was really tearing down the house. Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes moved, and she glanced at the man beside her calmly. A few minutes later, Bei Yunj held the rope and sat in the long corridor outside. The man and the dog were called punishment. Bei Yunj couldn't help but stroke Alice's head and sigh. This man was really hard to coax. However, Bei Yunj had only been sitting for less than 5 minutes when a familiar voice sounded not far away. "Io, Miss Pei, what's going on? Why are you outside in the wind?" Yu Hanran asked deliberately. "P.S. This article is the most sadistic punishment. I've finished updating today. From tomorrow onwards, I'll update at least 6 times and normally 8 times. I'll update once my monthly votes reach 150. Good night." Chapter 269. Bei Yunj glanced at him coldly. Yu Hanran pretended to be surprised. "But don't tell me you didn't return home at night and cheated on Master Du?" Bei Yunj sneered. If President Yu was so concerned about the company's market value wouldn't have fallen to second place. Yu Hanran was speechless. This little girl was really vicious. "Then why did you go to Muse?" Yu Hanran asked without hesitation. The next moment, Bei Yunj's eyes were cold. "How did President Yu know that I went to Muse?" Yu Hanran reacted abruptly and accidentally met Bei Yunj's eyes. At this moment, it was useless to explain. "Well," Yu Hanran forced a smile on his face. "What's the hurry? Won't you know when you go in?" At this moment, Bei Yunj was not angry and smiled slowly. This situation inexplicably gave Yu Hanran a bad premonition. In the living room, the man stood by the French window. It was as if he was not looking at the beautiful plants outside, but at the girl sitting by the long corridor. "Master Du, what's wrong with your girl? Is she standing at the door as punishment?" Yu Hanran's tone was casual. He had just received Hwashidu's call and rushed over impatiently. He said again, "Io, this method of education won't work." "It won't work, so President Yu, take care of your sister." The man retracted his gaze and his tone inexplicably made Yu Hanran's back turn cold. Yu Hanran was speechless. What did he mean? Hwashidu was not a busybody. Even if Yu Manran was reckless, Hwashidu might not be able to say a word. After thinking for a moment, Yu Hanran's mind suddenly cleared. He thought of Bei Yunj's specious words and suddenly had a bad thought. He took a deep breath without batting an eyelid. "Was it Man who brought your eldest daughter there?" Hwashidu did not speak, but his gaze was enough to explain everything. "Master Du, Yu Hanran began to stutter. He didn't expect that he had reported his own sister. I heard that President Yu has a conscience. How could he come in when he saw the young lady standing outside? The man took out a cigarette from the cigarette box and put it between his thin lips casually. As soon as he finished speaking, Yu Hanran suddenly understood what Huashidu meant. Was she blaming him for not bringing Bei Yunj in? Yu Hanran, Master Du called him over just to let him bring the little girl in? Did Bei Yunj and that Alaskan Malamute have been sitting outside for more than 10 minutes? Was he a tool? Master Du, are you feeling sorry for her? Yu Hanran put on a fake smile and suddenly regretted having such a childhood friend. Although I feel sorry for her, the little girl still needs to learn a lesson. The man held a cigarette between his fingers, his posture casual. Hearing this, Yu Hanran felt like he was going to die from anger. What kind of lesson was this? Bei Yunj going out for a few minutes was considered a lesson. Back then, the CEOs of the corporations who had been taught a lesson by the whole corporation all sat on the rooftop, okay? Wasn't Master Du doting on this little girl too much? Although he was jealous, Yu Hanran still called Bei Yunj in. Bei Yunj glanced at the man on the sofa. Brother! Huashidu put out the cigarette between his fingers and looked at her without averting his gaze. Since President Yu has spoken, you should go to bed first. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.